Time's up.
We're in for a wild night.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 140 of Born to be Wild, a Wild exclusive Hearthstone podcast where we have fun hanging out with friends, talking about the Wild format of Hearthstone, and spotlighting members of the Wild community. I'm your host, as always, Nate Wolf. It is great to be back on a beautiful Friday evening here in sunny Southern California. I always mess that up. I'm so not used to it. I'm used to saying like rainy Portland, Oregon, and that was easy. And I can't imagine to say sunny Southern. It just doesn't work. I'm gonna have to change it. Anyways, I am back. I'm joined tonight by two of my favorite people. Hydralisk, welcome back. I'm glad you were no longer sick. We missed you last week. How are you?
Yeah. You know, it always feels very strange when you miss a week. And so I'm glad to see both of your guys' faces, and I'm glad to just, jump into it and talk about some Hearthstone because it's I'll get into it later. It's a game I haven't been able to touch recently, but very happy to be here, and I'm so glad the week's over.
I know it's always a relief when Friday evening comes around. So, well, glad you're back, and joined, of course, by SchmoopieDaddy. Welcome back. How are you?
Listen, you guys are my Reeve and Ryan. Anytime you push that button, I'm reporting for duty. Me and Tiny Pen. So, happy to be here. And happy to continue to fill in for Sheep from, I guess, slightly damp upstate New York. However you define upstate New York, it gets a little controversial around here. So clear that. But yeah, no, very happy to be on the show. Excited for a lot of news and a lot of a topic near and dear to my heart. So super excited tonight.
I like the look with the fresh buzz. I was gonna joke and say the fresh fade, but and beardless.
I had to shear. I had to get more aerodynamic for my many, necessary applications, I suppose.
They told you at work, like, don't come back until you're presentable.
Right.
Oh yeah, you got your beard back going there, Nate. Hey.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure whether I could get away with it or not, but nobody said anything yet, so we'll see.
Does anybody else have any facial hair?
I'm the only guy. Yes, at work they do. I'm the only guy in my whole department, so no, they don't. You never know.
Well, Nate, you're being polite.
I'm sorry. What's as Seinfeld say? Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, for those joining us for the first time, welcome aboard. Let me briefly explain how this show works. We record this podcast live every Friday evening at twitch.tv/borntobewildhs. And the video version of this podcast is then posted to YouTube shortly thereafter. Audio versions are also distributed to all podcast apps. However you are watching, listening, or absorbing via osmosis this podcast today, thank you. Yes. You.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody. Especially those of you who are joining us live on Twitch. We really appreciate it. It's great to see you. And before we get started with the show proper, Cat, stop trying to eat my burrito. Kitty! Wanted to say a very quick but a very important thank you. First and foremost to Shokunin, the executive producer of our show, and also to our patrons. Your support means the world to us, and your money's going to help fund things like our new merch designs that will be done soon. Christine has been working feverishly on some new designs, so it's very exciting. And any money that we get, we just pump back into the show. Oh, they're up on the screen. Okay, so we're making Death Knights. We're making Death Knights this time, and we had her do individual ones, and then we're going to put them all together, but we'll have them all available separately as well. And we may secretly be working on a fourth one as well. So I'm really excited to see, like, she gives them to me in stages, and I will help do like the art direction. So like try to figure out what they're going to look like and stuff, but like they're always super cool. So I'm really excited to see how these turn out.
As soon as you showed these to me, I was in awe. I'm like, oh my gosh.
She's so good. And these don't even do it
so
justice, because
cool.
these are like rough sketches to make sure that the idea is right. but then when they start getting tweaked a little bit and we start adding some color and stuff, but we work well together. We've done a bunch of projects with her, and typically we're kind of on the same wavelength. And the changes that I had for her were so minor, and she just does an incredible job. So I would recommend anyone that's looking for stuff, like, they contact me and I'll pass along her info. But I love
Even
working
for-
I love
with her.
her
And
aesthetic. Like she makes really smart design choices. Like
She
like
does.
emphasizing the right things, and like it's just there's a reason why I'm like I've bought half your merch. It's like it's really good
well, I'll tell you,
stuff.
part of it too, I think, is knowing what you want. And at least for me, like, usually I'll know what I want going in, and then I'll be able to provide some art direction saying, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Can you include these things to try to make it easier? Because I used to do a bunch of design work, and like, the nightmare client is the person who doesn't know what they want. They're like, oh, just do something. You'll do a great job. Just do something cool. And then you do it, and they're like, oh yeah, I don't like that. I'm like, oh great, thanks. I'm so glad I spent so much time on it. Well, what do you want? Well, I don't know, just not that. Like, okay. So I refuse to do that to people. So we kind of knew what we wanted going in, but she never ceases to amaze me. It's just
She's
absolutely phenomenal. So
also really good with not just stuff like this. I worked with her for a gift for my wife, and she did absolutely amazing. And she would send me stuff like this, and we would work together to get exactly what we want, and it was awesome. And so I've got the framed version of it. Like, I blew it up and we have it on the wall, which is really neat.
you blew it up. Uh-oh. Sorry. I've descended into dad joke territory. It's
There's
Anyways.
that fuse thing again.
Did somebody order a bomb? Anyways, for those of you hanging out with us tonight, again, thank you. Really appreciate it. If you enjoy our content, ways that you can help support for free. If you like, comment, subscribe to our stuff on YouTube. We really appreciate that. And also, big shout out to a couple of people that have been doing that quite regularly lately. Quasar and scrolling. Apologies. Quasar HS, thank you so much. And Carmelo Yellow. Like, I love the comments on the YouTube. Like, it really means a lot to us. And so thank you very much. It's really fun to interact.
Quasar is awesome. He also streams, by the way, on YouTube if you ever want to catch him.
Oh, rad.
Really nice guy. Loves Piles of Greed, and is very cool vibe. Very fun to watch.
Piles of Greed. That's my specialty. You're talking to
Oh,
Mr.
hell
Orion and Secret Mage over here. Anyways, yeah. So we've got some other ways to support the show if you're interested. There's some merch that we do have. It's up on the screen right now. There's a link on our website. So if you go to borntobewildhs.com and click on the merch link, it takes you over there. We've got some t-shirts and stuff. And so when we work with our artists to make stuff, we've got them all on t-shirts, and it's kind of fun because you can basically pick the design you want and then pick the color of t-shirt that you want to go with it. So you can kind of like custom make them. Look at these beautiful people on the screen here. So yeah, we let's see, what else do we have? If you're interested, if you're watching this live on Twitch or someone that uses Twitch a lot, we do have some emotes that you can unlock. There's some that you can get by subscribing to our channel. That's free if you have Amazon Prime. Otherwise, you can pay for it if you want. We also have additional ones that are absolutely free, 100% free if you just follow. And then finally, if you are interested in hanging out with us personally, we've got a Discord channel. It's free to join. It's an online community. We post funny usernames. We share deck lists. We share accomplishments and chat about news and all of that stuff. And so it's been a great place to hang out and meet people. We do some voice chat and co-op sometimes and stuff as well. And so the link to that also is on our website, borntobewildhs.com. Yeah, rock and roll.
Do you have a favorite funny username this week?
Oh gosh, yes. There was so we started posting them from Snap as well because a lot of us play, so we just throw whatever in there. But yeah, this week we had some pretty good ones. Lee Acer posted Be Normal. I went up against somebody named Greedy Mobile Game. That was pretty funny. Last night I faced I Sexy Uncle. So there you go. Snorkeling Kid, pro HS player.
We found the one pro HS player in Diamond 9.
Oh, SchmoopieDaddy played against Batman.
I did. Batman.
Oh, Schmoopie Mommy had the best one, but I can't say it. It's not
We
safe for the
cannot say
show.
it on. You're gonna have to go to the Discord.
You'll have to go to the Discord for that one.
See that one.
Not safe for work.
That's
No.
That's pretty nasty. Oh gosh. Anyways, yeah, join the Discord. It's super fun. We have a good time there, and that's where we post all of our announcements and stuff first. Is the Discord, and then it lands here later. So, anyways, always love it to see people come through. And anyways, we got a pretty packed show this week. There's some developing news stories, right, that happened over the week, and we'll have some interesting discourse, I think. But I wanted to briefly talk about my week as well. It was kind of a rough week for us, unfortunately. I was at work on Monday and got a phone call that my father-in-law had to call 911, and then got a call 2 hours later that she had passed away, and it was really been a bummer of a week. She wasn't in very good health, but it's still surprising and sad. And so my wife has been up with her dad and her sisters all week, and I've been on dad duty here, and so things have been sad, but she was not in very good health, and at least she's not in pain anymore. I'm trying to kind of see the upside of things, but it's just been a kind of rough week.
Sorry, Nate.
Oh, I appreciate it. It's always like I don't know, like I never know how to react to that stuff, and then it takes it takes a while for it to sink in, right? Like I don't know, it's just so weird. And anyways, I'll probably go fetch my wife up like this weekend. And so her sister flew in from Oregon and then found out the next day that she had COVID, and it was like, oh, well, okay, I guess we're like, they were gonna plan like an open house or something, but now that like you can't invite a bunch of people over with someone with COVID in the house, right? So it's like, oh my god, it's just been a comedy of errors, I guess, but sad as well. And we all miss her, and like telling your 11-year-old kid that his grandma died is just, like, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And so so we've been just trying to process. But anyways, I don't want to dwell on it. But yeah, my wife has been up there, and so I've been kind of on dad duty, and thankfully we're staying with my parents until we move into our new place, hopefully next month. But because my parents are both retired, they've been able to take my son to school and pick him up from school because I'm at work already by then. And then I get home and it's like we do dad stuff until bedtime. But the other one was at Wednesday night into Thursday morning. I was like, I need to do this. I've been talking about it. I need to hit legend finally. And so by the time my kid finally like conked out, it was like almost 11 o'clock, and I jumped on the computer and I played until 3 o'clock in the morning.
You were posting in the chat like, hey guys, I hit legend, and I was like waking up on the East Coast, and I was like, oh wow, okay.
How are you still awake? Yeah, you know what?
When I woke up in the morning, okay, so Nate posts at like 3:07 a.m. I hit legend. I get up at 6:30 and I say, congratulations, right? So 3.5 hours later, and Nate's like, thanks. I'm like, what are you doing awake? It's 3.5 hours later.
My sleep schedule is so messed up now, and part of it I think is too much caffeine. Part of it is like, I don't know. We're just all discombobulated right now, and I haven't slept good in a while. But anyways, I was happy to do it, and I was like, I think I got there by sheer force of will, because what I would normally do, like my approach to a legend climb is you kind of feel out the ladder and like what feels good, what are you seeing, and what plays well into that, and then play what you want. And this month I was like, well, we had talked about on the show our New Year's resolutions and stuff, and I was thinking, all right, the two classes that I have not hit legend with in wild would be mage. I couldn't believe it, right? Mage and Death Knight. And I had hit with mage once in standard, but like it doesn't really count, right? So it was like, all right, well, I have to do one of these. And yeah, work the next day was unpleasant. And Yeah, reading contracts all day and insurance when you're half asleep is not a good thing. Um, and so I played Even Death Night, and one of the things I used to do all these infographics a long time ago, and I was like, you know what, I want to do another one of these. It's been too long. I want to do one, and let me compare these Death Night lists. And I've got now like 6, 7, 8 of them, and they're all similar but different, and that's part of the fun, right? Is you put all the lists next to each other and see what cards are different, and basically where I got to in my mind is like, well, the deck is fun and it's pretty good, but it's not optimized yet. And either we haven't found the secret sauce or there's just not quite enough support there. Maybe next set there will be a couple of better cards, but like it's good. Um, and I played it exclusively for my ladder climb, all the way up until Diamond 3, like from bronze or whatever, up until Diamond 3, and then I hit this pocket of like janky control decks. I faced a bunch of Shutterwalk Shaman. I faced uh, some Reno Priest, Reno Mage, Reno Druid, all the
Blood Death Knight?
armor. Yes, I faced a Reno Blood Death Knight.
Wow.
What else was there? It's just a bunch, like this big pocket of nothing but control decks that were probably getting stomped by aggro. And I was like, all right, well, I'm tired of losing. Like when my win rate got down to like the 50% range, I was like, well, I I need to switch. And so I looked over like we didn't bring it up in the news this week, but there's a new tier list from Vicious Syndicate that came out over the past week, and I was like, well, let me see what they got over there, and they have Secret Mage listed in tier 1 alongside Pirate Rogue, and like I just want to play Pirate Rogue all the time. So like my favorite deck now, and it wins on turn 4, and I enjoy winning on turn 4. But I was like, all right, well, Secret Mage is tier 1. Let me play that. And so I just copied and pasted their list, and rode that to Legend.
Their list says it's a 69% win rate.
Yeah, I hit Legend
So
with a 55% win rate. It was atrociously bad. But I think I was just forcing it. And because I was playing at 3 o'clock in the morning, my queue times was 2 to 4 minutes per game.
falling
like,
asleep during the queue.
Oh,
The
dude.
same 3 people.
It was the same people over and over and over. It was 50% Shaman, which is not a good matchup. Shutterwalk
No.
is not great. Even Shaman is not great. Like, and everybody knows, like, the way that you beat Secret Mage. If you don't know how to beat Secret Mage, you just go face all the time. Like, you prevent them from drawing cards with rigged fair game, and like you force them to do the trades. And if you're playing against an aggro deck and you can get a early secret that doesn't proc and a chatty bartender, like you can keep clearing the board over and over, and that's how you win games. But like if you can't, I mean, I still died to Pirate Rogue on turn 4. You know, it's and so.
Well, especially because Pirate Rogue has Swordfish, right? Like, so like that's 12 damage in one Swordfish, 12 damage in the second Swordfish. Like, they really don't need to get a whole lot of board in to finish you off. And considering how many lists are like cutting Ice Block, like rightly so. Like, you know, like we're going to talk about it obviously, but like, you know, most meta lists are not running Ice Block right now. Like once you get down 15, 20 health as a Secret Mage, you're just not coming back.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Yeah. And I think it was Marty who said that Secret Mage has really kind of transitioned from like an aggressive or like combo type of thing to more board based. And that's, I think some of the better lists are running the one that creates an ice elemental, whatever it's called.
Oasis Ally, yeah.
Oasis Ally, right? And this isn't. And so the secrets here, they're really good, but the secrets that are running explosive runes, two explosive runes, 2 objections, 2 rig fair game, and 2 counter spells. And those are all good, but I think players, at least in my experience on this run, the players were really good at playing around counterspell.
Yeah.
And playing around like objection is a probably the best secret. It's so good. But you know, people are not going to play their like Loatheb into it. They're going to play their 1 mana like peon into it. And you know, I mean, if you can steamroll people, but the problem that I kept having was against aggro, and it was that because of these secrets in this list, they would just proc all the time. And there's so many Battlecry minions that require you to have a secret active in order to trigger. So your Medivh's Valet and your Chatty Bartender and your Cloud Prince, right? And even the Contract Conjurer, they've got to be active in order to get the discount. And when your secrets proc all the time, like none of that stuff works. And so, and I found that explosive runes in particular was very underwhelming. Like, I mean, it's fine, but it wasn't doing like objection is just better. And it wasn't, I don't know, it was okay. But
it looked like you played mostly against Shaman, 42% Shaman.
Dude, at one point it was 55% Shaman. And it was like, this is insane. And yeah, the end run I think was 45%. But like, oh my goodness.
It's not a fun matchup, no, regardless of what it is, because either you're like, am I going to get cleared by Flurgle Talks? Do they have this? Do they have that? Or like,
oh my gosh,
do they have Chisel and I'm just never getting Rick their game off?
That and these lists now, the Shutterwalk list are running Murlocs now, and so the Murlocs that discount and draw, and so like I'd get them down to 10 health or whatever, like pretty close, and then I'd get Flurgle Toxed, and they would play, because they like play Bowler, they draw all their Murlocs and they clear my board, and then they play the one that eats your card, Mutanus, right? And so my hand is then gone, and it was like, oh well, I guess I'll just die then. And if I could get stuff out fast enough, I could eke out a win, but like I did not feel favored at all. And there were games I was like, this dude burned his Shutterwalk, and I was like, oh, I got this in the bag, and then lost. And I mean, you I don't know.
I feel so bad.
I think if I had to tweak the list a little bit, I would probably pull out the 2 explosive runes. I probably put in 1 ice block, just because I want a secret that is not going to proc.
Yeah.
To make the rest of my stuff work better. And then I would consider I was seeing a lot of aggro, and so I consider putting in like a what is it called?
Flame Ward.
Flame Ward. Yeah, I was telling SchmoopieDaddy before the show started, like I lost to one dude that was playing Orion, and like it
Nate really wants to play Orion.
I want to play Orion so bad, but like I know everyone says objectively it's a bad card. It's a win more card is the problem. Like if you're gonna win, like you're gonna win anyways. But
I'm the bait king of Secret Mage. It's bad.
Yeah, I know.
He's objectively bad. I know White Delight had a similar list. He actually thought the Mad Scientists were too slow, so he cut the Mad Scientists to have a Flak Mage, and then I forget the other minion he had in place of that.
Orion.
Oh, no, he didn't have Orion.
No, I'm
Yeah. I mean, you could, right?
No, I don't know. I mean,
the big thing I took away was, like you said, I've heard Corvette say explosive rune is so much worse. Something like a Oasis Ally or a Flame Ward, like especially in your environment, like if anybody listening to the podcast ever finds themselves in like a day one climb and they're seeing the same people over and over, or like you, they have 11x and it's late and they're seeing the same people late over and over and over again. Making a meta shift into like, well, maybe my list should run Flame Ward is probably a smart call. Because you're in a little, like, an actual microclimate, not like an imagined one that Reddit sees where they're just like, oh, I always see Big Priest, they always have Shadow Essence on 3, right? Like this is like an actual like microclimate in the meta. Adapting to it is perfectly acceptable.
I agree, and I think I probably would have done that if I wasn't half asleep, and it didn't help that I was like I was watching True Detective on the other screen while I was playing, and so that probably didn't help my win rate either. I was very distracted. It's been quite a week, so but I wanted to get it done. I think you did that. Yeah, I did. I came in at rank 500. I think it was 510. So it's just shy of the neon tweet range, right? But definitely more. Well, number one, it's late in the month, but number two, it's there's so many more players, I think, because of the China server shutdown and the migration of people over to NA. But it's also the 19th. I hit on the 19th. And so it's just way later. I used to hit like the first weekend of the month, and I just haven't done
Doc
that.
Bomb had some crazy stats for how long he sat in queue. He was DMing me, and he was just like, I had like a 50-something game climbing wild, and I sat 120-something minutes in queue.
Oh,
Like
that's
great, like crazy.
rough.
Crazy times. And like half the
Wow.
time he's queuing into Lorthos, he was like practicing decks for THL that are like, it's not even like Lorthos like being fun. It's like Lorthos like actually trying to kill people,
Oh
Yeah.
which is like,
no.
if you don't know and you're listening to the podcast, Lorthos is the main character of Wild. We're all just NPCs.
I've
This guy,
copied his lists
this
many
guy drops
times.
a hat to get to rank 1 some on a server. So like it's just like, and he's super nice if you've ever gotten to interact with him. So like, yeah, it's like it talks. He's like, I'm sorry for being toxic. I'm practicing for THL. And Doc's like, it's fine. It's fine. It's not fine.
I'm okay. I'm okay. I promise. I was actively tilting as well, like the whole time, because I think I was like, I was just I've been not in a great mental state like all week, right? And then I was really trying to just force it. I was like, it's happening tonight. I don't care how long it takes. It's just happening. And really, what I should have
Ain't no
done
secret,
is
maybe
gone to
mine. I'll
bed,
first do
and
that to you.
yeah, yeah. So I like rage queued, and I got
Yeah.
there, but it wasn't probably the most healthy climb. But it's done now. I plan on using just the Death Knight. I think next month it can get there. It's good. I think I need to learn how to pilot it a little bit better. But even Death Knight feels really strong to me. And actually, that may be a good segue to. Oh, it's not in the show notes for some reason. But anyways, I talked to Sheep yesterday for a couple of minutes, and
Oh, I thought that was a different week. I'm sorry.
oh
I nuked it.
no, Sheep, you got deleted. Sorry, buddy.
Sorry, Sheep.
Yeah, I talked to Sheep yesterday. And the Sheep family's doing great. They're home from the hospital, and actually home in their house now, which is great. Um, Little Sheep and Mrs. Sheep, they're doing well, and so I'm happy to report that. Sheep let me know he hit Legend this week with on mobile while baby's sleeping on mobile with the Even Death Knight list that we talked about a few weeks ago. It was Robobson's list that he ended up using.
Were they also in the
and-
bathtub?
That's funny.
Probably.
Yeah, maybe. That's pretty funny. Anyways, yeah. So it's the exact list that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, and I was telling him like I think that the list has been optimized a little bit since then. And he's like, yeah, it felt a little bit suboptimal, a couple of the card choices, but like it's pretty close, and it steals games. I'm like, oh, it definitely does. I think we're at like 20, maybe 25 out of 30, something like that. Like we're close. Um, it's just there's some choices on the top end of what to run, and but
I'm
anyways,
It's just if anything that's infused that's not Murlocula. Like eventually that's something that's going to get power crept for a better card.
yeah, Murlocula. I mean, 0 mana 4/4 with lifesteal is good, and it's
That
the
card's
nice
good.
thing. Yeah, the nice thing is because you're 1 mana hero power and your little dudes are dying each turn, like the infuse goes fast. The other one I actually thought was good was Priest of the Deceased, because same deal. Like it turns into was a 2 mana 4/5 with taunt.
Oh yeah.
Very
It's good value
quickly.
for the cost. Yeah.
I think Sylvanas is kind of bait, although where Sylvanas really helped me because there's not like big removal in this deck. In fact, there's like no removal in this deck, with the exception of Plague Strike, which
It's
it
busted.
is probably the best card in the deck. Right, 2 mana, deal 3, and get a 2/2 with Rush. Like it's
Yeah,
amazing,
correct.
but it doesn't help very much when you've got an 8/8 giant on the board. And that's where like Sylvana saved me a couple of times when I played it, to like either nuke a giant or steal one. But I don't think that she could go real easy. School teacher is only good because the discover pool is so small that you get a good card typically. But
Yeah,
like,
suspicious. Those cards, because I've been trying to refine like the Blood Knight, like Blood Death Knight, and I keep like or Frost Death Knight, and I keep finding that like School Teacher, Scorpid,
yeah,
Vizier are always like the lowest win rate cards. So those are the
yeah.
they're always the first things to cut. So like stuff can fill in.
Well, and you know, like as the pool continues to grow, the discover stuff is going to get worse and worse.
Way worse. Yeah.
So, but the
So
deck is close, and
I was gonna say here's Sheep's post. He came in at 2227 legend, 2227, and he was running Robobson's Death Knight list.
Nice. I'll put together an infographic soon, TM, comparing 5, 6, 7, 8 lists, and you can kind of see. I mean, it selfishly is partially for me trying to kind of optimize the list and see what I want to run. I think it's very close. Between Corb and Get Me Out, I kind of like theirs the best, but the lists are also similar. That like, it's 2 cards here, it's 2 cards there. Martian has a really spicy list. And I can't tell if it's bait or not.
It's bait.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, it might be, but it's fun. It's fun. But I didn't have the courage.
What's the punchline? What's in it?
I didn't have the courage to play it myself. Let me. I'd have to pull it up. It's one of those cards that like, it's the one that says like if it didn't start or if it's not change any neutral card to a class card.
Rest Purifier, 2 mana, 3/2. You used to use it to delete the Hakar Bloods in your or the Albatrosses in your Albatross Priest. Now you play it in even Death Knight because there are so many neutral cards that you run that you just drop that sucker, and like any Death Knight card you get's got to be busted, right?
It's got to be better than the neutral ones. Oh my gosh. That's funny. I can't tell you how many games I lost to Astalar. I have like, okay, that was the only card that I snap crafted in gold this set. And I am so ready for it to just get nuked from orbit because I've lost to it so many times.
Yeah.
Anyways, but anyways, so big congrats to Sheep Legend this week, and it's not easy with a new baby. I think early on, we were kind of reminiscing, and it's like, yeah, those days you get like 2 hours of sleep here, 1 hour of sleep there, and he sent a picture of his new setup today, and I was like, "How do you look so well rested?" Like,
Yeah,
we got a system down. I'm like, oh, you doing better than we did.
yeah, they're taking turns.
It's easier to climb because you weren't sleeping.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Like the time you'd normally be sleeping, like you're like rocking this kid, and
That's
you're
true.
like you have to be awake. So it's like,
I guess I'll do. Yeah, that's true. It's pretty funny, but anyways, super cool, and hopefully I have some more on some even Death Knight at some point in the near-ish future. But I don't want to steal the spotlight too much. Hydra, yeah, what have you been up to?
Oh boy. So last week was for me a disaster. I got
that photo is so funny.
I took my son and his friends to one of those trampoline parks. It's called Extreme Air Park, and had a blast.
You got extreme sick?
I got extreme sick. Well, we were there for a bit, and then we left them, and we went to a local Walmart, and we did our shopping, and it's in a more populated area. It's in the city of Burnaby, and we're kind of more further out in the suburbs, and so I've never been in a store that had so many people. Like, you can't get down the aisles properly. Everybody's coughing, and I'm like, oh no. So I don't know if it was the trampoline park or if it was the Walmart, but got home and it was fine. The next day I woke up and I'm like, feeling kind of sinusy.
Oh no.
And then wake up the next day on Monday, and I'm like, I think I'm sick. I go to work, and I put a mask on, and I'm there, and I'm talking to my boss, and he's like, why do you sound so horrible? I'm like, it's fine. It's fine. It's like, don't worry about it.
I'm fine.
Yeah. And he's like,
Go home.
you need to
Leave.
go home. And I was like, okay. So anyway, go home on Monday. And I tell my wife, and my wife is not a person who likes to get sick. When she had COVID, she ended up in the hospital.
Oh.
Yeah, a couple of years before that, she got pneumonia and she was in the hospital. And
that's some bad experiences. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
So as soon as she knew that I went home sick from work, she's like,
Get
in the
away from me.
bedroom, get away from me, go in the bedroom. And so luckily, like, we have an ensuite bathroom in there, right? So I was banished, I think it was 9 or 10 days.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Because it was the full week, so it was like 5 days, and then even come this week, like the first couple days of the week, I was way better. But so I went to work. Anyway, like at this point, I'm recovering, but she's still like, I like, don't touch me. Like, when you get home from work, go in there. Like, I will bring you your food. So I spent a very long time in there, to the point where the days just sort of like blended together at a certain point. And one thing that really, really sucks is my cell phone. Don't buy this cell phone. It is kind of like one of the budget Samsung phones. It is not like the Samsung S22 or whatever. It's like a A53 or something. Like, it does not run Hearthstone. You can download it,
sad. Yeah.
and you can launch it, but it will not work. And my iPad does run Hearthstone, but it crashes constantly while you're playing, especially in Mercenaries. Like,
Wow.
I don't know why Mercenaries, when you're flipping through the collection, it crashes almost every time. Don't know why it does it. So just don't go through your collection. And then when you're playing on ladder, sometimes it's completely fine, and then it will crash right when you're already roping. And you're like, no. So it was, Hearthstone unfortunately was, yes, it is on the odd, Ari Morn, sorry. I don't know why that's happening. I uninstalled it and reinstalled it on the iPad, and it's still doing it. I don't know why. And it runs the game like extremely smoothly and stuff, but it just does the crashing thing. Maybe the iPad itself needs updating. I don't know. But
I don't know. That's a bummer, though.
couldn't for the life of me get it to run. So I was pretty bummed about that. So I was not able to play, and so I wasn't really chatting with anyone about the game or anything. I was just sort of like off in my own environment. And luckily, I have something called a Steam Deck. And
nice.
So I played so much on my Steam Deck. I was playing Vampire Survivors, right? And that game is way too addictive. And
I keep hearing good things about it. Can you tell, what is it though? Like, what type of game?
Okay, so if you like old school arcade games where you get rushed by a bunch of things and you need to mow them down, kind of like Gauntlet, or Gauntlet Legends, when things are like running at you, you got to kill them. And it's like that combined with a roguelike. So you start off basic in the beginning, like you got nothing, and then you collect power-ups as you go along, and you get better and better and better until you die, and then your run's over, just like Hades, right?
Okay.
And the idea is to get to the end, and you need the boss that comes and gets you is death. And there's so many like unlockable characters and weapons and all this stuff that it just keeps you playing over and over and over and over again, right? And the max run you could do is 30 minutes. And that's when the final boss comes and gets you. And there's all these different maps and secrets. And so I'm playing this game, and it's got all these flashing lights, and like there's so much going on at all times. And I played it. I'm over 50 hours of gameplay at this point.
Wow.
And I just got the game, guys. Like
oh my goodness.
And I'd get like, I'm like, no, my battery's dying. Like, I need an extension cord so I can plug this thing in. And it got to the point though where I'm laying there at night and I got my eyes closed, and I can see the flashing. And
Oh,
that's strange. And then like the next night, and it started to get worse to when I would try to sleep, all I could see was the game happening behind my eyelids. And it was just flashing, things moving, and it was giving me insomnia. Like I couldn't sleep. It's like all I could see because this is all I was doing. That and watching Star Trek Deep Space Nine. But like there's something wrong. And then I remembered whenever you load the game at the beginning, it gives you this photosensitivity warning. And I always just skip past it. Anyway, I'm going to read it to you. It says, this game contains bright flashing lights. Please immediately stop playing and consult a doctor if you experience lightheadedness, altered vision, eye or face twitching, jerking or shaking of arms or legs, disorientation, confusion, or more momentary loss of awareness.
Oh no.
And then the standard, if you or any of your relatives have a history of seizures or epilepsy, consult a doctor before playing. But yeah, that's like, you know, when you watch a commercial for, I don't know, like heart disease medicine, and then it's like, it'll make you feel better, but then it has like this laundry list of side effects. Like that was what it was.
Oh no.
Like,
so Vampire Survivors may or may not have made you worse. Oh my goodness.
It was so funny. Like, it's so addictive. And yeah, I skipped past this warning, and like, maybe you shouldn't play that many hours of a game that has this warning at the beginning of it. Yeah, still, you should get the game.
Yeah, I know.
Probably stimulating your brain, right? Like it's probably just like your brain's trying to process that, and the problem is like what it's trying to process is so disruptive that you're not sleeping.
Yeah.
Well, they say, right, that you're not supposed to like use your cell phone or mobile device like right before bed because it stimulates you, right? And it's like the opposite of what you're trying to do right before you try to sleep. Not that anyone listens to that advice, but like
it's overloaded, right? That.
Huh.
Just so much. So it was that, and I couldn't believe, like I told my wife, I'm like, I think I have to take a break from this game. Like I took 3 days straight off of not playing it, just because of that.
You sleeping any better now?
so when it did go away, yeah,
That's good.
it went away, but yes, it was keeping me up at night.
Wow.
So there's your lesson. Don't play 50 hours of Vampire Survivors inside like 9 days or so. Like,
oh my gosh,
bad idea. Anyhow, now that I have escaped my quarantine room and I'm back on my PC, which I have not been able to touch, I can get back to the norm. Play some other games, like, you know, the one we do the podcast about, Hearthstone. So that'll be fantastic. I feel like not playing for that long. Oh my God, don't get me started on the fact that I've missed so many daily quests. At first, it was giving me anxiety, man. Because you know how obsessive I am about getting them all done on all the servers. I had to let it go. I'm like, it's not going to happen. I can't do it. So, oh well. Like, I just had to.
Are there any profiles that you've like just let out to pasture? Just like second profile, Asia.
I do have this one because I have like the main three, right? They're all tied to my like Hotmail account that I've had since like the year 2000. But I have a Gmail because everybody has Gmail, right? So I started playing. Silly enough, I started other accounts on Gmail tied to that email. I don't know why. And I remember posting stuff in the Discord about these are the new cards I'm getting, and wild cards like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you already have 3. Like, you need to stop.
You enjoy that new player experience. I don't think that's
I do, because like I remember I built this really awesome beast hunter and I played through those 50, I think it's 40 levels now at the beginning. Going through when you're like an egg or like a chicken or a bear or a flower or a teacup or what all those things are. Like, it was really fun, like to have next to nothing for a deck and build your way up. I mean, they give you a deck now, right? But
Oh
No,
gosh,
you gotta piece it together. They do sell you. They try to sell you a deck while you're in there, and you'll face meta decks in the apprentice ranks. It used to be a big problem where like you were always facing
because that they sell it to you
you
now,
were always
right?
facing Demon Hunter, because Demon Hunter, like the new stuff or the stuff you had access to, was so much better than like your whatever Murloc that is a 2/1 that also prints a 1/1 for 2 mana. Great job. Like meanwhile, it's just like, okay, here's my Demon Hunter card. Your stuff's wiped out, and oh yeah, I developed tempo.
Yeah.
But now it's Death Knight. I hear that like somebody started a new account on Swaguar server just for kicks, and it's like the apprentice ranks are all like they're all like meta blood Death Knight decks, and so it's like a giant slog
Oh
to
no.
cut your way through. It's just a miserable experience where it's just like, okay, every win you get, you earn, but like you earned that win. Like, nice job. Like it's prepping you for ladder. Like,
Wow.
I don't know. I miss take a deck and put Our Lady Prester in it and just like whatever. It's the best free card we get, and dragons are better than my garbage cards. So let's see how we do.
Yeah. Well, that was my week. How about you, SchmoopieDaddy? What have you been up to?
A couple weeks ago I mentioned that I conceded down to bronze 5 MMR. I have since last show I talked about how I got achievements, and I started playing up, and
where are you
now
at
I
at
was
the on the reward track?
meta decks. What was that?
Where are you at on the rewards track?
Level 160.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
What? You're like double where I'm at. I'm at like, I think I just hit 90. Oh, wow. How?
Well,
Holy
all right.
crap, dude.
So
I mean, I guess the achievements give you a bunch,
I
but
try
like,
really hard to beat this one mercenary level, like every time I drive into work. But I tell you what, you can't play mercenaries and drive. So like, it's really hard, and I get frustrated and see it all the time. So I do that every day, but also like achievements get you like hunting achievements get you a bunch of XP.
yeah,
But honestly,
yeah.
I've just been playing a lot. I
Wow.
play a lot, and I've talked about this with players that are even better than me. Because last expansion I was kind of racing QB a little bit, he was like around rank 25 on the EU server. Like he took a break and then he came back and he just started playing recently. The last expansion for Castle of Nathria, or Murder at Castle of Nathria, we were sort of comparing our like rewards tracks. He was like 1 or 2 levels ahead of me. I'm like, QB, how are you playing more than me? Like I nobody plays more than me. So like I play on mobile, and I'll play like half paying attention, and I'll play like something brainless while I'm doing something else. And like at this point, like honestly, when I play Hearthstone, half the time, whether it's a serious match or not, my lizard brain is taking control. Like I'm running on instinct, right? Like it's just I've had so many repetitions that like I just don't even necessarily understand the play that I'm making, but it feels like it's the correct play, so I'll make it and I'll do it, and
I
I'll
do
think
that all
about
the
it later
time.
and be like, okay, why was that smart?
Yeah.
And so I'll play all these games, and he was somehow ahead of me, and then at some point he was just like, oh no, never mind, you're way ahead of me, and I figured it out. He was queuing in top whatever, and like wild queue is a real thing. Like just I was talking about with Dr. BOMD, or friend of the show, winner of the listener series. Like if you spend enough time at a high enough MMR, you spend so much time waiting for a match
Oh my
that it
gosh,
actively
yeah.
cuts into the number of matches you can fit in. And so unintentionally looking at it now, like my goofing around and being like, well, let me get down to bronze 5 and see where I get from there. I play more Hearthstone. I get in more sheer number of matches than you probably do, Nate. Somebody who's like I'm not going to call you a spike, but you're pretty close. Like you're pretty close to the profile where like, you're trying to win. You're trying to play the best stuff. And you
Basically,
are,
yes. Yeah. No,
and you've
that's
accomplished that though. Like, right. Like you're at a place where you're constantly getting 11x. You're playing 11x opponents. And you have to wait 1 or 2 minutes for your matches. On average, when I play during a month, I'm waiting 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seconds, and like do the math. Like it adds up.
yeah, no, that's
Um,
cool. That's cool, man.
so like there is a benefit to dumpster diving and like taking your time. Now that being said, my high watermark yesterday was like rank 320. So I've
Why?
been
Wait,
doing.
what? What?
I,
How
I've
do
been,
you? Okay. So for those people who don't know or don't understand, right? So you hit legend on like day 1 or day 2, right?
sure.
And then concede until you're facing opponents now that are like,
Bronze 5, yeah.
okay, and then you just play whatever you want to have
Uh,
fun and to achievement hunt and stuff like that.
uh,
And how in the world are you back at legend 300? Like when you concede that much, like what legend
now,
rank are you at?
right now I'm like 440 because I spent a significant portion of the day playing Reno XL Death Knight, which I which I would not
Okay.
suggest.
You know what though?
When you like kids, here's some homework, here's some assignments to do. Teacher's gonna just sit back at his desk for a while.
I'd say it's the perfect meta for like if I want to. Right now, if the meta stayed how it was, I could probably pretty easily walk into 11x because there's a huge band right now between I'd say like rank 1200, maybe even as low as like wherever low legend is, and there is a massive number of people in legend, which is a topic that I mean, if we get to it tonight, it's worth covering. But there's a huge number of basically aggro bots or people who are just aggro noobs who just can't quite like break the cusp of this, like between 1200 rank 1200 and rank like 800 on legend ladder right now. And so there's a belt, and that belt used to be much higher. That belt used to reach like rank 400, 300, 200. You had bots in the top 200 last month, which is why I finished ranked 157.
Mm.
Where like I could queue up even shaman and I could beat the even shaman bots because I played even shaman better than an even shaman bot could play even shaman. Now the meta has shifted, I feel like, to a point where everybody is dumpstering the bots in the aggro decks. And you have this top meta of like free shaman, miracle rogue, what have you. What I do now is I kind of play a game with myself because I even when I get that high, I get ladder anxiety. I'm not used to being that high that this late in the month.
Mm-hmm.
I play decks that are quote unquote good decks, and I'm sort of doing this game where if a deck, before 5 games, if a deck gets 3 losses, it gets cut. I'm not playing it anymore.
All right.
And anything that I have a winning record with, I'm keeping it on running, regardless of what deck it is. And like the spiciest decks I have right now that have a winning record, I have Reno Even Warlock. That's like 6-1. Copper Scum, who's a user on EU, came up with a token death. A token Demon Hunter list that's using like the Lifesteal Manathirst cards and most importantly Sinful Brand and a couple other things. It's very much like the very good standard list, but sort of ported to wild. That's 6-1. I made a homemade Mechathune list with Tome Tampering banned. I just sort of like took my imp base lists and I slotted in rods and I hoped and I prayed, and that's 5-2.
What? Wow. I
So
I
like
do legitimately want to get your Reno Blood Death Knight list because I know, like, I mean, we joke about it being a bad stack of cards, but like it's probably pretty good actually because the Blood Death Knight cards are strong and like it can probably beat the aggro decks, right? If
It's bait. And the problem is it's bait. And the reason why it's bait, I think 30 Blood Death Knight is your best anti-aggro deck for Wild. A full stop.
But it's
and
a standard deck though.
Yeah.
Well, you run Armor Vendors.
Okay. I'll play it. I'll tell you what, I will play it. If you help me come
That's
up with
it.
the list, I will play it because like I need Death Knight wins.
You run Armor Vendors, and like, okay, yeah, it's a standard deck, but like Wild players kind of have to get over this stigma that like, oh, it's a standard deck, because like I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the standard stuff that they're printing is broken.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
not
good.
like the old of like, oh, it's a standard deck, or oh, they printed standard cards. It's like, guys, these are these are strategies, and these are cards that are warping the Wild meta.
Yeah.
So like, are you really going to be snooty and completely reject them, or are you just going to suck it up and just figure it out?
I mean, we want to play the class, so why not play the good part of it?
No, it's fine. I mean, I hit Wild Legend with Demon Hunter in its, what was it, month 1 or month 2 of it. I mean,
how many cards of those were standard? I mean, aside from Baku, which, listen, that's a hell of a card
yeah,
like,
but
it's dumb to be like, oh, well, 39 of the 30 cards were standard cards, but by the way, you had Baku. Like, that's a hell of a card, right? Like,
yeah. Well, so is Gan, but like
still.
most of them, yeah. There was a couple. I mean, you jammed Lotheb in it, right? But like, I think that most of them were standard at the time. I could dig up the list, but yeah, no, I'm not above playing it. I mean, I always kind of laugh when I see someone queue their standard deck into Wild, and then stop laughing when I lose, and you know, it's worth it. I mean, the class is gonna be around, so you may as well play it. And I've got 1K plus wins with everything except Demon Hunter and Death Knight, so like I just want to play it. But yeah, I'll have to figure out. I'll have to see a list and do it. I'll totally run it. I've got no shame. And you know what? I think I got to the point that if I lost my 11, I wouldn't cry about it. I just like, it'll take longer to climb, but
it won't. It might not. Nate, it might not. I might punt 11x this month for a shorter climb because I'll have a higher win rate at the lower MMR.
Yeah.
And not only that, post D5, I can almost guarantee the decks I will see are even Shaman, Pirate Rogue, and Shadow Priest. Maybe even Death.
Yeah, all aggro.
Day 1, post D5, it's all aggro.
Yeah.
You'll make a hard turn to a control deck, and like, okay, so you play maybe another 15, 20 games, you clean up. GG's, easy climb.
Yeah. Like, yeah, no, you're not wrong.
Very stress-free.
And you know, I will tell you, because so I was looking at my legend stats. Sheep created this wonderful spreadsheet that I've been using to track my legend runs and to see, you know, when I hit it each month and what I enter at and what deck I played and where I got and all that stuff. And I added a bunch of columns to it because I wanted to know more info. And I can see there where I had 10x and then I bumped up to 11. And then at one point I lost it, went back to 10, and now I'm at 11 again. But like, I'll never forget when I lost it. And then the next month I climbed at 10. It was an easier climb. Like, yeah, it took a little bit longer because you have to win more games, but like, no joke. And God, this is going to sound really terrible, so I'm sorry in advance, but like, the opponents were easier. Like, it was just easier games because the caliber of players was bumped down a notch. And again, I'm sorry, it sounds terrible, but like,
listen,
11x players are hard.
Personal theory that I have: when you have 10x, there are tiers of 10x. Like, if you used to do what I do and you like concede down to the bottom of, you know, like bronze 5 and Wild, and then you go and you play Wild the next month, you're gonna queue into the bottom half of like 10x or like the bottom third, because there are good players that I would queue into and like I recognized, but there are people who had 10x.
Yeah.
Right. And but like good players, but goof around. Like, they take their time or they do whatever, and they go like you know, Norv, DeVerniger, Ben from work if he was goofing off. Right. Like, I'll never forget the month that I queued into Ben from work as my first game like climbing one month, and I'm like, oh my god, Ben, what are you doing here? And he was on Mozaki Mage, and this was before Mozaki Mage was necessarily meta, and I was like, I'm dead. And the only reason why I won was because he played the wrong card because of APM, and he
Oops.
played like a draw card instead of like a kill me card,
Whoopsies.
and he died. And he went on to our Discord, and he's tagging me, and he's just like, SchmoopieDaddy, you died. SchmoopieDaddy, you died. And I'm like, I know I did that. Please, like, stop. Just like, don't queue into me anymore. Go away. Right? So like, I'm still queuing into some good players, playing good decks, but I'm also queuing into Cards Priest.
Yeah.
I'd love a game against Cards Priest. Cards Priest is my favorite. Sure, like Tempo at the 4/3 that heals everybody. Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. Hey, that has rush now because it's a feature, not a bug. Right? Like you know, like sure, yeah, whatever. Cards Priest. I'll play Pirate Rogue or even Shaman or something like that, and I'll clean that up to D5. D5, I will hard pivot to a control deck. I will grind my way up, and like I don't know what's wrong with me. Something about my psyche. I enjoy that grind from D5 to Legend with the 10x. Right, with 11x, it feels cheap.
It's definitely significantly easier. That climb between 5 and Legend
part.
that's the crazy part, that it feels like you're on cheat mode.
When you have like two boss battles in a row, it's like, okay, I lost, but it's still my boss battle.
Yeah.
Like that like cheapens it for me. And so like I enjoy proving that I'm good enough to get 11x. I don't enjoy having 11x. So there's a decent chance that I throw it away this month and like go goof off and play like casino deck. Like that's the messed up thing. Like I played for achievement hunting. I was like climbing with Casino Mage for like
Wow, that's so cool.
between bronze and like gold. I was just like, all right, let's see what Yogg hands me, and let's see what I come up with. Because so many of the achievements for Mage were like Casino Mage friendly. So I was like, I was playing that a lot. I did.
Well,
I had one moment where I just like I had to have Romath like repeat, 20 of 15 spells, and I got 14. I was like, ah! And then the next game I got like 36. So it's like, all right, perfect, we're good.
Oh my gosh.
So that was, but my week in a nutshell has basically been me. I between I'd say 12,000 Legend and like just below cracking 300.
That's a huge 12,000 or 1,200.
It's not as no 1,200. Excuse me. 12,
Oh, it's like,
okay.
oh my god.
Wow.
How many
It's not
games do you
it's
play?
not but it's not as big a gap as you would think, because at some point the way the MMR is spread out, like you're getting like 50 ranks a win.
Yes. That's
Like where I am
that's
right
been
now,
my experience as well.
I'm like 440. Like if I win 6 games, I'm in like top 200 or top 500 if I win 6 games. So like you can kind of experiment a little bit. You can kind of goof around a little bit. But like you can't experiment the way I want to experiment. But you can do that. But that's been my week. Not to tally on too much.
Well, all right. No, it's great. I like hearing other experiences too, because I don't know. I'm especially lately, it's this like play when I can and kind of like doing the spike thing, and I would like to play a little bit more and just try to have fun with it.
I feel like there's a safety net where it's just like if it gets too bad, just play the stuff that hates on the even shaman bots and you're fine. Like you're back
why
up
not?
there. Right? Like you like let me, and they're not as plentiful. I think a bunch of them got bonked or crushed or something, because I don't see as many as I saw previously, where it was just like, oh yeah, I can play pure blood DK into top 200. No, you can't do that now. You can't do that now. Whether they've been suppressed because of the meta warping, or they've been suppressed because Blizzard has decided that they care a little bit or about bots or what have you. But there's fewer along those lines. But do we want to move to the news?
Let's. We really should talk about it.
All right,
because there's a lot.
Welcome to the news. The news is actually pretty bad.
Yeah, this news sucks. It's terrible. The news
Yeah,
is terrible.
it's like it just goes from like bad to worse to, it's like, oh my gosh. All right, we'll take
Well,
it
like,
away.
what's funny, what I love how we ordered things, Nate, is like you ordered things with like most important first and
Well,
like
I was trying to
most
kind of like
trivial last.
segue, but like
But
I
the
don't
way the
know.
week started was like most trivial was first, and then they went in reverse order. Like, how do you want to cover it? How we have in the show notes with like most important first, or do you want to start with like the dumb one?
All right, let's start. You know what? Okay, let's go out of order and we'll cover Portrait Gate first, which is so goofy, right?
Okay,
This
so
is so stupid, but it got a bunch of people really upset and
if you weren't aware, right? So Blizzard has now somewhat semi expansion wise done one of these Brawlisiums. Is that how you pronounce it, by the way?
Brawlicium, I think.
Brawlicium?
They've done one of these Brawlisiums where for 1,000 gold you buy in to a high risk tavern brawl where it's like an arena run. You pick a deck at the very beginning. You can build it yourself for whatever format they choose. But once you've chosen your deck, you cannot change it for the run. You will then play until one of two things happens. You either get 12 wins or you get 3 losses. And the first one they did was in Sunken City. That was standard format. In Castle of Nathria, they did a 1 in wild format. And for this one,
that was fun.
Yes.
that was a ton of fun. Not for nothing, it accelerated the meta too. People refined stuff really quick, and like very quickly, Pirate Rogue went from being the best, considered the best deck, to like tier like top 2, which was very interesting to watch happen. But I digress. We've swapped back to standard format for this Brawlicium, and with a
Well,
little added twist, they said
yeah, I was
they
gonna say
improved.
kick it a step back because where this I think first popped up, right, is that we when the new patch went live, we we always go through and say, hey, what's the new stuff in the patch, right? We have this new portrait for Demon Hunter called Ghoul Queen Scarlet. They're like, oh, that's kind of cool. I like that. Obtainable by participating in a special event.
What's
And then
that
you
going to
look at
be?
the patch notes, and this is where the drama all happened, right?
Right.
Like,
So the patch notes, the way it was worded, it said, win 3 games in this heroic tavern brawl, and you'll get the new Ghoul Queen Scarlet Death Knight hero skin in addition to your other prizes, which makes it sound like you enter a run,
Mm-hmm.
you need to win at least 3 games, and then you get this skin, which for some people, now I will say this: a change that they made, which has been clamored for by the community for whatever reason. Like free to play players always say, listen, we hate these Brawliciums because we don't want to pay 1,000 gold to play. We want our free pack every week. Like this is a big part of our economy, which, listen, fair enough. You're free to play. This is like you need to min max as much as you can. We've actually fixed that and made it so that you win a game in any mode. You choose a game at any mode, you get yourself your free pack this week. Great. Okay, so they
that was cute,
satisfied
right?
those
That's
two.
Yeah,
nice.
that's nice.
Right. That was like an easy like cough cough Zeddy talking point where it's just like okay, easy points. You give out this olive branch, it's good to go. Right. Now they have this skin, right, available, and they say, okay, you need to have 3 wins in this brawl in order to get it. Now, everybody under the sun translated this as okay, in the same run, you need 3 wins in the same run. And
People
if
freaked out. Like, I mean, Twitter does a daily meltdown, right? And we all doom scroll and like, but people like lost their minds. Oh my god, it's for the new class. Everyone wants it. It's locked behind not only a paywall but a skill wall also. I was like, oh my god. It. I mean, people like to get angry about stuff, but like,
Do they?
jeepers. I mean, it wouldn't be Hearthstone without it, but like, holy cajoles. And then was it yesterday they clarified, oops, we want to correct that statement. And
now it's 3 wins over any brawl. So if you want to waste 3k gold and get 1 win each time, at least you'll get the skin.
Sweet.
yes. Well, and
Which is a nice, which honestly is a nice touch. I'm glad they did it that way, but
I don't know. Okay, so I do have a couple quotes here for the dev comments, right? It says so they went back to the patch notes and added a section that says correction. The Ghoul Queen Scarlet Skin Legendary Quest will require 3 wins in this heroic tavern brawl across all runs, not necessarily in the same tavern brawl run. And then dev comments from Nick Decktech Weiss saying, updated the patch notes. The legendary quest that awards the skin for Heroic Tavern Brawl will be 3 wins for that whole Heroic Tavern Brawl run instead of 3 in 1 run. I'm excited to try it for when this goes live. And then Matt London says, this was always the implementation of the quest and reward, but the patch notes I delivered were unclear. Glad it's clear now. I hope players enjoy competing for this new cool hero portrait. It has one of my all-time favorite voiceover lines. And I'll tell you what, like, at least for me personally, and everyone's different, right? But like, my thought was, dude, at least it's 3 wins, because they could have put 12 wins and I would have been screwed.
Yeah.
When they did the heroic tavern brawl for Wild, like, historically I haven't played in these because the like the rewards suck unless you're hitting like 10 or more wins. And when I did Heroic Tavern Brawl for Wild, I think my best run was like 9. And even then,
a little bit.
what? Sorry, what?
Like, let's say you spend 1,000 gold, right? Like 1,000 gold is equal to, let's just say, for argument's sake, 1,000 gold is equal to 10 packs, right? Because you're buying like 1 pack.
Well,
here's the rewards for reference.
You don't even win. You don't even get your stuff back. Like the.
No, but I'm just saying, like, let's say that's like the standard. At 7, what is it? I got 6 wins, 1 run, and I thought about it. Right? At 6 wins, you get 7 packs. So that's 700 of your gold spoken for.
Well, you get plus another 220, right?
Now you get 50 for 6 wins. So now you've basically gotten your money's worth as far as gold goes, right? You've bought your 7 packs. You've made up, like, you're up to 950 gold, and then there's 250 dust. So like if we say that a pack is on average 100 dust, you've basically broken even at like 6 or 7 wins. So like you're breaking even at 6 or 7 wins, but like you said, you're not making profit until you start hitting 9 or 10.
Well, and losing at 9 sucks because at 10 is when you get your first golden legendary.
Right.
Correct. All right. So like, because like as somebody who came painfully short of 12 wins in the last brawl, I've been huffing copium on how many 6-win runs I had in the same deck. So like I don't want anybody to think that like, okay, well, if you're not going to go and you're going to get 12, like there's no or 9 or 10 or whatever, it's not worth doing. Like you can have a great experience, you can get your money's worth with a 6, 7 or 7-win run, and like you've lost nothing.
Yeah,
but it's easier said than done. There's still a skill cap there.
Yeah, but you know what? They could have picked whatever they want, and I feel like 3 wins is attainable. Like if they would have capped it at and they don't owe us anything, frankly, right? They could have said, "Hey, we're reserving this for the best of the best. You get 12 wins, you get it." And I would have just been like, "All right, well, I'm not going to pump money into that." Like,
and that's don't forget that when you only have, say you're like 0-2 and you're really worried you're going to die, well, you're going up against someone else that's 0-2, right? Like that's how they do their matchmaking. So you are likely to get to the 3-win mark. Like it's quite likely that you will achieve that based on the matchmaking that they have.
Yeah, and I feel like, hey, you know what? At least it's attainable. It's attainable. Like the problem is I've wailed out so much at this point that like I have basically everything, and the idea of sticking something in, especially for a new class, and be like, oh, I'm not going to be able to collect that thing that I want. Like I don't even like the artwork very much, frankly. But like the idea of not being able to get it when I've got everything else is yucky. And so like, oh well, I want to get it. And so my thought was, you know what, hey, I'm trying to see the silver lining. It's been a rough week. 3 wins is much easier to get than 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 wins, and they could have made it a lot harder. And so, you know, it is what it is. I just thought it was kind of funny because this is the cycle, right? We uncover the news. Like they didn't even announce this. It was like buried in the patch notes and in the collection manager. It's not like they were advertising it on the website or Twitter. It was like, oh cool, there's a new skin. How do we get it? Oh, it's in the patch notes. Oh, wait a minute, what? And then everyone started freaking out as they do. And then the devs had to update the patch notes to clarify. And it's the internet cycle of life. But here we go.
Circle of anger.
Yeah. No, we've had 2 Disney songs now. We had Circle of Life and we've had Let It Go. Great. Great. Anyways, all right, so here's my question. I will be participating because I want the skin. Hydra, will you be participating in this?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a go. I'm gonna give it, fortunately, one go and try to nab that skin. You know me, there's a chance that if I don't get it, I'm just gonna click the button again the second time just to get it, because then it's gonna be like guaranteed the second time, right? But I'm pretty.
Yeah, I mean, unless you just lose and lose and lose and lose. I mean
that could happen. I'm pretty confident that I think I can get the 3 wins. Like I've played some arena in the past, and I've played a bunch of duels, and I normally, get it at least the 3 win mark, and then usually beyond that. So I'm pretty sure I can do it. So yeah,
you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I think I'm not a 12 win arena player by any means. I've done 9, 10 wins, that kind of thing, but I almost never touch it. The mode, it's laughable if you look and see how many arena wins I have. It's quite shameful. But yes, I'm gonna play. Nice. I don't know what I'm gonna run yet. I'm gonna be one of those people that kind of like waits and looks and sees what's going on first, and maybe counter the big bad or something like that.
So here's the thing. It didn't make the show notes because I forgot about it, but there was a Twitter post earlier this week from Aleko that said that there is balance change incoming. Trying to see if I can find it. It was kind of a crazy week. Let me pull it up real quick. But while I'm doing that, SchmoopieDaddy, what are your thoughts? Are you going to play?
I'm going to definitely take a punt at it. I will probably play until I get the portrait, and then past whatever I earn. I expect that to be 1 run. I'm probably going to play Frost Death Knight. I don't expect Frost Death Knight to get hit that hard. You probably lose Astalor in the list, but the list doesn't necessarily need Astalor. It's playing Astalor as like, here's an alternate win con if,
well, the card's just
matter,
good, so
the air circulation device. So I feel good enough piloting Frost Death Knights. I probably played in standard. I've probably played around either 250 or 300 games of it.
Holy cow! All right,
I played it for Legends.
Holy mackerel!
And I've also had a bunch of extra games where, like last month, I conceded to the bottom that I could get to of standard ladder, which is a really interesting story for another day. And then played my way up some, so I probably got a bunch of wins there too. I didn't hit. I'm at 450 wins in Death Knight, so I feel really good about.
Wow, nice.
So I'm pretty confident. However, the meta shifts, the way that deck plays, it just doesn't interact with you. So I'm good with just sort of doing the wild thing and just slapping you turn 6 or 7 for lethal. So I'll probably play until I get the portrait, but I expect that to be 1 run. But I will say this: like, how much would you rate? Let's say they put a portrait in the shop and you got to choose the gold amount. What do you think is the typical gold amount for a portrait in the shop?
Gold? I think it was 500.
Yeah, 500 or 600. Didn't they go
500,
back and
600?
Because I think it was for card backs. It was for card.
Oh, that was
backs.
card backs.
1,000?
Yeah.
1,500?
Maybe 1,000.
Typically
then
the bundles are about $10. plus or minus.
So, like, one way you could think about this, right? One way you could spin this, if you're thinking from a Blizzard point of view, is after 3 wins on a single run in a Brawlizium, right? You have now earned a portrait that is equal to 1,000 to 1,500 gold. That, like, you wouldn't buy, you and I might not bat an eyelash at if it shows up in the shop and we gotta like use like Blizzard bucks or whatever, or like Google Play points to buy. I'm mostly on Google Play points now, but like that like increases the value of your first run exponentially, because like even if you crap out at like 3-3, like you got a portrait out of it. Like that's a lot.
Dude,
That's a
And
lot of
you
value
got to play
monetarily.
the game. Let's not forget. You have to play the game.
All I'm interested in is the portrait. Like, I ain't trying to hit 12 wins. I don't have delusions of grandeur, at least not that.
I hit
I'm
6 with Nagamage. I don't think I'm gonna beat 6. I'd be happy with 6 because you know what happened at 6? I made my money back.
Yeah.
I got what I put into it. I got roughly the same value out of it. And I don't particularly enjoy standard. That's good enough for me. And the same's going to go with this run. If I get 6, 7, 8, 9 wins, great, awesome, money in the bank.
Yeah. Well, so here's one thing I forgot to add it to the show notes, but it reminded me when Hydra was saying, "Hey, I'll figure out what I'm gonna play later." Hydra, the image I put it in our group chat as well, and there's the link. But Aleko tweeted on the 18th, so that was 2 days ago. January 18th. Hey everyone, I know a lot of you have been asking about standard balance changes. We're putting together a pretty big patch for approximately 1 week from now. In all honesty, I wish we could have shipped this patch a little sooner. The holiday break pushed our patch schedule, but the meta doesn't take a holiday, so I empathize with players who feel like this patch is coming late. Though I can't promise anything right now, we're chatting as a team about if we can adjust our patch cadence next holiday break. Hope you all enjoy the upcoming patch. So I don't know what it's going to be yet, but my thought was like, yeah, you don't worry about what you're going to play now. Like wait until it's after the balance patch to see what they're going to do. So we all know, right? Rogue is going to get hit, but whatever. I mean, I don't think there's other stuff to talk about, so I don't know that we necessarily need to spend too much time on it. But just as a side note, like a balance patch incoming, so if you've got duplicates, like don't dust them yet. You may as well wait and
hold on to them.
Yep. And if you're trying to figure out what to play, may as well wait. So we'll see. Yeah. And I got all confused because I heard that this was coming and everyone was all bent out of shape. And I was like, wait, when is this happening? So Wild Brawliseum starts February 1st. So this is not for about 2 more weeks, about 2 weeks, a little less than 2 weeks away. Okay. So February 1st is when this is happening. Anyways.
Yeah, well, I'm glad because I was, well, I'm not glad actually. I was thinking of playing this weekend, but I guess I got some time.
Yeah, you guys have a little bit of time to figure out what you want to do. And actually, like, yeah, I probably will jam a bunch of Death Knight in Standard, trying to learn the Frost Death Knight and just to try to get some wins with it. Anyways.
The only reason why I picked the Frost Death Knight is because I think it's uninteractive enough that like it's like regardless of what they do to the meta, like unless you are talking about how like maybe like, oh, Control Warrior is the nuts now, like okay, that might be a problem, but for the most part, like it goes face and it ends the game and it's very bursty.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't anticipate a lot of nerfs hitting it unless they're planning on making nerfs that anticipate it being a big bad, and I don't see that happening. I have an inkling that that's not going to happen. So, are we going to do some CN stuff next?
Yeah, let's give China some attention here.
That's is that what's next up on our list? I suppose. Well, okay. Yeah, yes. Yes.
I'll read. You want me to read the tweets?
They just got hosed. Yeah, you I think are kind of the subject matter expert, if I will, right? On this.
So last time we left off on our story, ladies and gentlemen.
Last time on Born to Be Wild.
Last time on Born to Be Wild. NetEase was closing down the China servers for all Blizzard games, and it was just like locking the player data. The data's not gone, but until Blizzard comes to contract with NetEase, it's also not getting released. So here is some reporting from an account called Nas Da Cien, who is basically keeping track of things, and I'm going to censor so that this is family friendly and work safe. Update on NetEase and Blizzard drama. Blizzard proposed to extend the contract for 6 months. NetEase rejected it, calling the proposal as non-reciprocal, unfair, and commercially illogical.
Strong words.
NetEase already disbanded its 100 people Blizzard team. Fecal matter is getting uglier. Okay. On the 17th of January, Blizzard CN released a statement saying last week it made a proposal of extending the contract for 6 months while continuing to negotiate with potential partners. It is a pity that NetEase rejected it. Can't find an English version, so here is it auto-translated. I'm not going to read that for you. It's some PR statement. NetEase responded around midnight of the same day, calling Blizzard's proposal and statement as arbitrarily, unseemly, and commercially illogical. Also, its behavior as give and take, donkey riding, and divorce defying. Which, if you know anything about Chinese culture, especially Chinese business culture, this is a rather strongly worded statement.
Yeah.
This is like I'm taking off my white glove and I am slapping you, sir.
These are fighting words, big time.
Right. The team, less than 100 people, that handles all Blizzard titles in China has already been disbanded. Most staff are either let go or reassigned. Only a crew of 10 people will stay for another 6 months to handle follow-up matters. And then there's like a picture of the office, and he was saying, oh, the office was much larger last time I was here. But it's basically an empty office, and they're like ripping down some, it looks like some temporary walls and stuff. It's a bad look. The reporter's last tweet is pretty much the worst outcome I was afraid of. Now, even if Blizzard can find a partner, I don't think NetEase will let it take over the company that it holds licenses. Now that it holds licenses of all Blizzard titles, which means the new partner has to reapply for them, and that could take years, except for Diablo Immortal. So a relevant tweet that I saw today that actually Memnarch brought to my attention. Thank you, Memnarch.
Was this one from IGN?
Yeah, one for player IGN. For a game company to properly publish on CN Market requires government approval for license via a domestic Chinese company. Now, NetEase would qualify as that, domestic company, but the relationship is so toxic that relationship probably has to start over from scratch. This process can take 3+ years. Once Blizzard's deadline on January 23rd expires, that partnership is void, and they can go through the process. They have to go through the process again. So, like, if let's say you're somebody who's not happy that we have a bunch of Chinese players on NA ladder and EU ladder right now, suck it up.
Oh man, they ain't going anywhere. They're not.
Yeah.
They're not going anywhere. They have nowhere else to
let them stay.
Crazy enough, they have nowhere else to go, and not only that, it occurs to me that like we skipped over a huge chunk of the big news because we were talking about we were talking about like the lighthearted stuff with Portrait Gate, but like that when you start putting into full focus like ramifications and how Blizzard has to legally play it out in their esports, there's just the Chinese players have just like they have nowhere to go, they have no home, they have no representation. So like while they're on NA ladder, which is a strange enough phenomenon, NA is bigger than EU. I listened to Soda, and Soda said that EU would get more population. For some reason, it seems like NA was the better choice. So we appear to have more CN players on NA, which is pretty crazy and pretty cool. But like it was a large enough migration that you're seeing the population flip, where EU was over the legend population by a couple thousand to like NA squeaking them out by 500, which is significant. But again, I'll digress back to maybe we do more serious topics, which was like the gut punch in the community this week.
Yeah, well, and actually, well, we can, and actually it ties into to China as well. So the big news we're talking about is the HS esports news, right? And I
Correct.
don't, we'll get there in 2 seconds, but they did this big Q&A attached to it, and it says, here's the one piece that where I think this comes into play. It says, can players residing in mainland China compete? And the answer is players residing in mainland China will not be eligible to participate. Eligibility may be reevaluated in the event that a new publishing partnership is established in mainland China. Full eligibility information can be found in Masters Tour and Lobby Legends rules. So, hey, you want to play in Lobby Legends or Masters Tour and you're in China? Sorry, can't do it. And then there's a question here: is the prize pool reduction because of the loss of NetEase as a China publisher? No, we began evaluating the size of the program before we understood we weren't going to be able to reach an agreement with NetEase. As we've shared, we are committed to Chinese players and are actively exploring alternatives for bringing our games back to China in the future.
Sure.
Yeah. Bunch of PR.
So anyways, so here's the big news.
Sure.
Masters Tour. So I think SchmoopieDaddy said it, or it was Dr. BOMD said it the best in our Discord earlier today. Was breaking news: Born to Be Wild listener series offers more tournament. Was it you? You had more tournament prize winnings than official Hearthstone Masters Tour this year, right?
That's
however you worded it, a lot more eloquently.
It was funny and sad at the same time, but well.
Yeah, the Masters Tour will have no prize pool this year. No prize pool for Masters Tour.
That's insane. That's insane. And yeah, so they just released it. They released the news yesterday. There's a blog post on the Hearthstone website because it's Climb the Ladder with Hearthstone Esports in 2023. So the way that you get invited to Masters Tour now, eligibility is based on ladder finish. So top 16 gets invites, right? And to compete in Masters Tour, and you compete in Masters Tour, and there's no prize pool.
What's the point?
Golden celebration, hardback, pride.
I guess.
So it's like they got rid of the ladder grind on purpose because people were staying up to, like, back in the day, right? Remember they had the ladder grind to qualify, but that was too insane. People were staying up to the wee hours in the morning. People were camping, and it was a disaster, apparently. So they got rid of it because that was apparently toxic, and they came up with a whole other system. Now they're bringing it back. I guess maybe people won't stay up late and grind into the wee hours in the morning anymore because there's no prize pool.
If you read carefully, it's an invitation.
Well,
essentially,
there's a prize pool like for Worlds and stuff. Like at the top, there's a prize pool, but not for the Masters Tour events that you need to win to qualify to go to Worlds, right? And so it's just kind of crazy. Before I get into like my thought, they did a Q&A here on the website, which I was shocked that they did that, but they did. So here it is. How come the 3 Masters Tour events don't have any prize pool? With players having a direct qualification path to the World Championship by playing ladder, we want to prioritize rewarding the most consistent players over the course of the whole year. Does this mean that Hearthstone is declining/failing? The current scope of Hearthstone esports is separate from the success of Hearthstone. We are thrilled with the upcoming content plans for the game and can't wait for players to get to see what is being worked on in the years to come. So that what they're saying is like, look, Hearthstone proper and Hearthstone esports are 2 separate things, which no doubt is true. But okay, does this mean that Hearthstone esports is being canceled in 2024? We don't have anything to share on the 2024 program at this time.
I don't like that answer whatsoever. Like that. That scares me. That statement right there scares me. They couldn't even have said like, don't worry, it's going to be there, just in a different form or something like they couldn't say anything other than no comment.
Well,
Oh, thanks.
right, it gets worse, right? So here's the next question. Is this because of low viewership from being exclusive to YouTube the last 3 years?
Which is their own
And
fault.
and the answer is our goal is to balance the cost of running esports productions while taking into account the size of the competitive community. Like, what the Murgle does that even mean? I'll
Danced
tell
around
you,
the question.
100%, because they were in a contract with YouTube for 3 years. Like, and they're not going to say anything bad about it. Like, we all know realistically, when they switched from Twitch to YouTube, there was a huge decline in viewership. It just happened. Like,
I wasn't gonna watch.
well, even then,
I
like,
wasn't gonna watch.
I don't think I have since it's been on YouTube. I honestly don't think I have. When it was on Twitch, I
tuned in
did.
for the final. I tuned in
Except for
the last fourth of the priest mirror for the final. This one.
oh, so
if
you
there
caught
was
8 hours
some-
of it?
Right, exactly.
if there was a card,
sorry, bad joke,
or sorry,
Yeah,
some
like
sort
that.
of reward pack associated with it, I did, but I wasn't actually watching it. It was on.
I had it up. I know I had it up on the screen and then I walked away. But so this is like, number one, they had a contract with YouTube, and I think that part of the reason that it failed, I think they were hinging their bets on the esports program for Overwatch, and it just was kind of a flop. And I think players or viewers were having issues with YouTube notifications, like the go live notifications, where Twitch was just the place. And anyways, all right. So here's the next question. Now that HS Esports can be on Twitch, why not increase funding to bring players back? We're excited for the Masters Tour to be back on Twitch after 3 years and are eager to see what our audience there is like. The new program is sized for sustainability as Hearthstone Esports turns 10. Okay. And then the two questions, right? Is the prize pool reduction because of the loss of NetEase? No. Can players residing in mainland China compete? No. So here's my thoughts real briefly, and then we did have a couple dev comments, which I'm surprised, and I think they have to be very careful when they do this. Cora says that I do not know how to put into words what I want to say with the limitations that I have. I'm very frustrated. Celestalon says same. Aleko says same. Early on, I saw a bunch of people like pointing fingers at Abar, who runs the esports program, which it seems completely misguided to me. And all he says, right, to those on the inside, blue heart, to those on the outside, blue heart, whether you believe it or not, blue heart. Like, he can't say anything, right? But here's the deal. Like, he's the community manager or the manager, whatever it's called, of Hearthstone Esports. Like, you think realistically he had any like decision making authority on the prize pool? Like, if anything, he's the reason it didn't get canceled, right? He's probably the person rooting for it more than anybody else. Number one, because he loves it. Number two, because it's his job. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way it's his fault. His job is on the line.
Right.
And so I think people are just misguided. This is a profit-making company, and if you look at, here's what happened, right? I think the golden age of Hearthstone, at least Hearthstone esports, it was at least probably 5 years back or whatever. It's before they went to YouTube, back when the events were streamed on Twitch, way back when the world champions were at BlizzCon, back when we had Frodan, and it was like, I don't know. For me, anyways, it was like the golden age of like Hearthstone
Was that
esports.
Rise of Shadows? I remember watching Rise of Shadows because I was just like, I can get 2 free packs for watching. Great. And like, I'm like a drooling free to play player.
I watched just for TJ.
TJ, right? And
Yeah.
Frodan, and I wanted to see what crazy jacket Frodan was gonna wear. And
It was like Leroy, break toggle whip, toggle pick, step Leroy, like
Oh,
just
gosh.
shenanigans.
Seeing Cora get the spotlight and going on stage was super cool. Like doing the casting, I thought that was really neat.
Well,
quick tinfoil hat here. When they said they don't have the question where is esports being canceled in 2024, and they said they don't have an answer to that. 2 questions below, they talk about the program. The new program is sized for sustainability as esports in Hearthstone turns 10.
well,
So that does that not mean that yes, there is going to be something if it's turning 10 next year?
No, it's turning 10 this year, but here's the thing that I think they answer the question actually in the it's that one that says now that it can be on Twitch, why not increase funding? And the answer really is like we need to see what's going to happen. Or let's see. It's oh, okay. It says, yeah, okay. So now that HS Esports can be on Twitch, why not increase funding to bring players back? We're excited for the Masters Tour to be back on Twitch after 3 years and eager to see what our audience there is like. And so really what I think is going to happen is like, well, now they got to see if it's going to bring people back, because I think there was a giant decline in viewership. The only problem is because there's no funding for a prize pool, like all I've seen for 2 days now is pro players saying that they're not going to play anymore, or that they're going to play for fun but not compete. Because what's the point? Like, it's that, like, I used to do a bunch of graphic design work, and it's that old joke, right? That nobody wants to, like, you can't get paid in exposure. Like, exposure can't buy you food, exposure can't pay you rent. Like, why am I going to participate in this giant tournament that involves a lot of time, energy, skill, maybe travel, I don't know, um, for no money, unless I'm the best of the best of the best
Yeah.
and get invited to worlds? Like,
Well,
it completely de-incentivizes players from competing in these tournaments.
well, already
so
people were quitting because their stream made them more money, right?
there's yeah,
Like like in the
you know, I
past
mean,
years.
in some cases, and
Dog.
so you know, I don't know. I don't really know what to say about it. Their production value has always been high. Their casters are great. I think we were talking about some of the classics, but like Gia has been one of my favorite casters, and of like the new school, I think has been really good. And the production value, like it's almost as good as ours. And so that's saying something, right?
Right?
Sorry.
No, this
Um,
production value is amazing.
their production value is good. I just think that they had such declining viewership. The only problem is, like, cool, you can put it back on Twitch, but if there's no prize pool, like, people aren't going to want to participate. Now, Zeddy posted something that I completely forgot about, which was when they did Year of the Dragon. There was a bundle in the shop for like $20 for a couple legends and a bunch of packs that essentially crowdfunded the esports prize pool, and they hit their cap. And
Yeah.
it was like, why not do that? I'd contribute some money to fund this, like,
Same here.
and get some
They did it
packs.
with they did it with the what is it, the Storm King portrait too, for I think the Wild Open. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah, yeah, and so
For the longest
like,
time, that was the only time you could get that portrait. They've made the portrait available since through other means, but like that was like for like a year and a half,
yeah,
2 years. That was the only way you could get that portrait, was you buy that $5 bundle. That was I think the first money I spent on Hearthstone, because I wanted to fund the program. I wanted
the
to fund
esports,
the
yeah.
tournament. I was just like, yeah. I mean, I you know, I love the game. I want to see people compete and do the thing.
Yeah. So I, you know, we'll see. I worry a little bit because it'll be on Twitch and that's nice, but if people aren't playing in it, like, what's the point? So I don't know. I really don't think that the game is dead. You know, people are saying, "Oh, the game's dead," and I actually 100% agree with what they said here. Was that like Hearthstone, the game, and Hearthstone esports? These are two different things. And the game itself, I don't think is going anywhere. In fact, I think it's doing quite well. There's, you know, they just introduced a new class. There's a bunch of new cosmetics. There's a bunch, like, it's doing fine. Um, the esports is real sad. But what worries me about Hearthstone has a bad habit slash history of like creating, like they sabotage themselves. And like, okay, this is a wild show, right? So you can say, oh, the wild open, which they haven't done in ages. And like, okay, well, it's the less played format. Like, all right, it's sad to see it go, but the wild open. But then, like, great example. Mercenaries has been basically completely abandoned at this point, right? Um, and I don't understand why you would create something and then not support it. Like there's so many cool options, or if it's it, I often wonder like clearly like we are the plugged in community, right? We read the blogs and we watch the YouTube and we are interacting with the devs on Twitter and all of this. So we know about this stuff, but for the average Joe player, like we talked about last week, right? We're in this like top 1% of Hearthstone players or whatever. But for your average Joe who's in the, 75% or whatever, how would you even know any of this stuff?
You don't.
If only there was like a way in game that they could share news items and tournaments and links to things,
They
right?
even put a mailbox in the mercenaries thing. They could do that on the main screen. News, right?
Very, yes, yes, and I understand like okay, spaghetti code and like updating the UI is difficult, and I respect that, but like you could do something like that
They can.
because
If they did
they
it in
make
Mercs to sell us stuff, they could do it somewhere
well,
else.
and they just added this new menu item for the seasonal quests, um, the new battlegrounds
Yeah.
one, or whatever. Like you could do a thing. Hey, here's your quest. Watch 1 hour of Hearthstone on Twitch and get this card back, or get one free pack, or whatever it is. Like there's, I don't know, there's some ways. It's like let me have this awesome thing and then not share it with anybody and then wonder why it's failing. Like I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's more complicated than that, but to me it feels like it's that meme, right? Where a Hearthstone or the person, it's the meme, right, of the person holding up the kid in the pool. Meanwhile, the other kid in the front is drowning. And so it's like, oh, we're holding up, oh, Battleground season 2, and Hearthstone esports is drowning over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Wild is like the skeleton at the bottom of the pool. But anyways, like I don't know. Hydra, what do you think?
I mean, my very first thought when I saw this and I had this fear was Heroes of the Storm, because that was really sad for all the players in the
Well, there's another perfect example, right?
right, and like careers at that point were gone. People that had invested years and years and years to this, and that was really sad for that scene. I never got super invested into the game. I played it at the start. It was fun. But for people that had invested, I don't know how long it was before it was canceled. Let's say it was 5 years of the game or longer, of their lives doing this. And yes, you know that you're taking a risk when you're doing it, but it's sad, right? And so when I saw that Hearthstone was taking a turn for the worse when it came to esports, canceling the prize pool, I immediately got those vibes like, oh no, is it going to go away? Are they going to completely get rid of esports? Like they're not going to support that anymore? Because even though I don't actively watch it these days, because they switched it up so much, I know that people do. And I know that it used to be, for me, really exciting. I used to have it on. I used to put it on the TV and watch it. Like
yeah, I
it,
do it too.
in the
Yeah.
heyday that you're talking about, right? And my wife would be in the room and playing on her phone or whatever, and she's like, "There's an audience. Like there's the casters." She's like, "This looks more professional than watching like a hockey game." Like this is the Canadian uses a hockey game. I just realized as a reference, but still, like to her, it was amazing that this game that she sees me playing all the time had this production value, and it's just so cool. And to see it possibly, might be going away at some point. They didn't say that, right? There's no evidence that that's happening, but it's sure scaring a lot of people when they take away the prize pool.
Well, something has to be profitable if they're going to support it, right?
Yeah, well, at
And
that
if
point, they're giving away giant pots of money, right? And now that if you went from, like 15, 20,000 people watching at a time down to 1,500, 2,000 people watching at a time, you're not getting the same amount of exposure that you were before, like by any means. So, but at the same time, as you mentioned earlier, there's a new class, right? That they're focusing on. They've been balancing more than they've ever balanced before. It's back in the heyday of esports, they let cards be broken for their entire rotation that they were in standard, right? And nerf them just as they're going into wild. So I don't know, they're paying so much attention to the game itself that I don't think the game is in any sort of trouble, because to be honest, it seems like that's what they're focusing on the most, is the game itself instead of the esports scene. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm at. I think the game's fine. It's scary to see though.
Yeah, and so I think someone said it in chat, and somebody, I think you have it in your show notes or your SchmoopieDaddy, like in the back of our minds is this pending Microsoft acquisition, right? And like, what part does that have to play in all of this? You know, time will tell. I don't know. I don't want to. Let me pass it over to SchmoopieDaddy before I go down that road. But what do you think?
No, honestly, like, well, I mean, that was the first thing that passed my mind in the forums that I'm in on Discord, was just like, is the game dying? And now I am in a vast variety of forums. I'm in some forums where, like, some Discords where it's just like hardcore spikes, tryhards, right? And this was like a gut punch. Somebody kicked their dog. Like, this was like brutal. But for some of them, it was freeing. For some of them, it's just like, I never have to compete again because there's no excuse for me to compete anymore. I can go touch grass and like meet girls, right? Like, so for some people it was like incredibly appealing. Like, not to call him out, but like Hijo is happy right now. He's just like, I never have to play Hearthstone again. Like, he's so like, because some of these guys are so burned out, but they get addicted to the grind. They get like, you know, whether you attach personal worth or whether you're just like, you're at the best at something, why wouldn't you continue to be at the best at something, especially if it makes you money? Like, it's an excuse to continue, so even if it makes you miserable. And often it makes these guys miserable, and like, not everybody competes at the top end meta. But like, let me just say from firsthand knowledge, 99% of the time, top end meta is miserable.
Yeah.
Like, that's why like people always want 11x. Like, are you sure? It's like, you are placing yourself in a very unique situation where you are playing the best of the best, and the best of the best want to kill you no matter what that means. Whether they enjoy playing a deck or not, if it kills you and they win, that's what they enjoy. And so de-incentivizing any kind of competitive scene and standard was met with like a lot of sadness with a little bit of liberation, like kind of like filtered in.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I almost wonder
different
if
attitude.
We might see a fresh like influx of players, because I think that, I mean, the esports program is going to be here for the next year, and I don't think that just because this has happened that everyone is just going to up and quit. What I think is going to happen is that the people that rely on this for income are going to quit because there's no incentive for them to do it anymore. And frankly, you just can't afford to do it, right?
Can't afford to do it. Gotta live.
That's like if my job said, hey, you can still work here, but we're not going to pay you. It's like Office Space, right? Oh, Milton, we've moved your desk down to the basement, and we stopped paying you, right? It's like, okay, well, if I'm not going to get paid to do my job, then I guess I'm just going to not do my job anymore. So, but what happens is, it's like we saw a couple years ago in the workforce, right? They call it the mass exodus or whatever, like all these people retiring. Like, okay, well, there's going to be new people to fill those spots, and maybe you're competing for a different reason. I don't know. I mean, frankly, I there's really no choice, right? Like, whatever happens, and nothing that I say or do is going to change any of that. And so I'm just going to hope for the best. And when there's an event on Twitch, I'm going to watch it. Like, that's all I can do.
Yeah.
Well, and hope that it succeeds. and maybe they'll listen to feedback. Maybe they'll, like, we've seen the devs listening to ideas, and maybe it's like, oh crap, we forgot about crowdfunding. Like, oh, or maybe Microsoft buys it and they're gonna be like, hey, why did it go from up here to down here? What can we do to revive that? Maybe we want to give it a shot. Maybe they don't. I don't know.
I mean, that could definitely
Um,
be a factor, right? That acquisition.
I don't know from the
You know,
investment side. Like
Yeah,
there is a complete, and you have to know, right, that the people on the dev side of things, or the people running the esports programs, are not the people making these level of decisions. At some point, and honestly, like I work in finance. Like you, if you look at something and it's a, like it's budget time, right? I'm prepping for the fiscal year, and I've got this department, and the department, we pay all this money to this department. Like, and then how much money does it bring in? Like, it's declining rapidly because nobody's watching it. And like, why are we shelling out all this money for no return? Well, let's not support it anymore. Like, it's a loser financially. And so you either have to take the risk to like revitalize it and bring it back, or just like dump it. I mean, I think that frankly, if the two options were we're scrapping Hearthstone esports altogether, or we're gonna try it with a severely reduced prize pool, like I'd rather have them do that than scrap the whole program. I just,
can I can I pose a question to you
yeah,
guys?
yeah, 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 of
sure.
course, of course.
Do you think that Hearthstone esports has been a contributing factor, a major contributing factor to Hearthstone's success over the past 6 expansions?
Mm, I don't play standard, but I'd say no.
No, I
I'd say
don't.
no as well. I
I don't.
just by and large, it was a thing that we continued to do because we've always done it, because maybe it was healthy for the standard meta, or it was like, it was the way you attracted the best players.
Mhm.
But
Well, you're talking
I
six
would
expansions is
say
like 2 years, right? So
last 2 years, do you think like Hearthstone esports has been on the decline, and it's been on a continuous decline. And I think there's an argument to be had that it's had its season, and like the way that they had it ramped up was just not sensible anymore as a business model. And like that's tough to swallow. It's a gut punch to, and I know I keep using that adjective, but it really is. It takes the wind out of a lot of sails of a lot of people who are super competitive and want to and really love the game and want to make it a reason why they get up in the morning and grind and no life it for 3 months, as Hijo once said. Right? Like, by the way, I want to go and no life it for 3 months. And some people would love that excuse, right? Like they might have their day job, but then like they come home and they are really good at Hearthstone, and that's what they do, and they grind for that tournament.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but I don't know if Hearthstone esports has necessarily been, if each expansion, if each expansion's success or failure, like if you grade them just individually, I don't know how much Hearthstone esports has really contributed to that. In
I
some cases, I think it's been a detriment, because I think in some cases it's highlighted weaknesses in expansion in design, where
well,
like maybe you've seen too much Theatar, Bran, Sire Denathrius, or maybe you've seen too much of a certain broken deck being showcased, because like not for nothing, standard has been very difficult to balance since Sunken City, and now some of that has been dev design choice, and like again, don't make us part of the balance team. We are not qualified.
yeah.
We are not like we aren't, we don't have degrees in this. Balance in a card game is hard, especially when now you have 11 unique classes. But like one of the things I was going to bring up as far as like my unique points for my take, um, like, is the game dying? I'd say like the top 1% of players, by and large, don't find Death Knight all that attractive or like fun or interesting to play.
It wasn't even brought to the last event, right? So
Yeah,
like
okay.
if they're trying to advertise, that didn't work.
But
You
but
that
but pause on that fact. Everybody plays Death Knight. You go to lower
Yeah.
MMRs, everyone's playing Death Knight.
right, right, right,
People
right,
love
right.
Death Knight. People want to grind it. Like it has a varied approach right? You've got like sort of like a board-based aggro approach with Unholy. You've got a control approach with Blood. You've got a bursty approach with Frost. Like it's an unmitigated success. And I
Yeah,
would say like Sunken City, like Colossals, unmitigated success. Like
mhm.
great mechanic, great introduction. Hope they do it again. Hope they make more Colossals. Right? I thought they'd be too slow, too big. They wouldn't have a big enough impact. Boy, was I wrong. Right? Like I feel like anytime you drop a Colossal, regardless of which one it is, it makes some kind of an impact.
Oh yeah,
Right?
very much. Yeah.
Like a lot of times we get sucked into even this
Except
program.
Ozamot sucks.
Well, except for Oz. Well, even listen, I've seen some hunter decks. Anyway, I'm not gonna die on the hill, Ozamot. I said,
Mm.
but my point is, a lot of times, even on this program, we are the hyper engaged, right?
Yes,
Like we
yes,
are the
yes.
top percentage of players of this game where we actually care enough about it to like get
Talk
on
about it.
camera and talk about our thoughts and fears and like love of this game. And there is a whole swath of people who like log in and like might change like might do their daily quest and like they might not, or like
Yeah.
they might have never cracked like gold 5 before.
Mhm.
And I would love to know, and I was talking about this on another Discord. I would love to know what does the player base look like right now from Blizzard's perspective of Hearthstone? Because there's a good chance it's never been better.
Oh gosh, yeah, no, and like, okay, my kid is a perfect example of this, right? 11 years old, plays Hearthstone on and off, free to play. Gosh, when he finally decided he wanted to like really grind it, he almost hit legend. He got to rank 1, and then had to go to bed. I made him go to bed because I'm a mean parent.
You never punched it in?
No, but it was like 11 o'clock, and he had school the
Nate,
next
you
morning,
suck.
and he's like, I
I'm
know,
sorry. I like.
but
No,
like,
this is good
I'm pissed
because
at you for him.
he'll end up staying up till 3 a.m. also.
it's true, it's true,
You know,
but
it's only like another 5 minutes, Dad.
yeah, it was 5 minutes for 2 hours. We tried it. We tried it. His bedtime was like
5 more
9 o'clock,
minutes. Just
and
5 more minutes.
I let him play 5 more minutes for 2 hours, and my wife was not pleased with me. And
Nate's like, listen, this is a really difficult life decision. Don't give me crap for it.
you know what? We really tried. We really tried, and it was heartbreaking because I made him go to bed at like 11 o'clock, and he was in tears. He was like so upset, and like, anyways, you guys got me derailed. What I wanted to say was
I'm
that
sorry.
I don't be a parent is hard.
One more game.
It really
Dad,
is.
please.
I'm not a very good
Okay.
example either. When I told him, hey, when you were sleeping last night, I hit legend, and then I post this,
You jerk.
right? I post the screenshot, and my wife has been at her parents all week, and the timestamp is in the bottom left corner. She's like, 3 a.m., huh?
Oh no.
It's like, yep. She's like, I hope work doesn't suck too much today. And, it's like, you know what? You come home, and I'll go to bed. I don't have a responsible adult here telling me what to.
Crop, Nate. You gotta strategically crop. Come on, man.
That's so funny.
I
The
don't
bed
know,
was
man.
cold. I didn't want to go there. You weren't here.
Right? No, I joke. She's wonderful, and she did not give me really any crap for it. It was just kind of joking about it. And she's amazing. But
We were talking about Hearthstone success.
oh yeah. So no. So
Seemingly
what I
among
wanted to say,
casuals.
I wanted to jump back on your point though. When Death Knight hit, like that's what got my kid back playing, because he's been playing off and on since Naxxramas, like when I started, but like super casually. And Death Knight was like, oh, something new, something that I can play. Oh, I can get a bunch of the cards, and I don't have to pay money for this stuff, and it's accessible, and it's really fun, and like there's 3 different ways that you can play it. And I think we've talked about in the past that part of the downfall, or the problem with Demon Hunter was that like number one, it was like busted on day one, but a lot of the different methods of deck building just didn't work for it. It's like it's an aggressive build, um it was kind of like the control build or big build or whatever was like
Big
set up to
Demon
fail
Hunter
because
didn't
there's
that
just
good.
not.
I don't
Well,
think I don't think it being busted was necessarily a bad thing. But the
no, it got
problem was
people
No.
when it
playing it,
got
but
nerfed and subsequently balanced, it like got balanced to being irrelevant for a while. And now it's been busted it on and off in standard since, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
if you're a standard main, you probably have your 1K Demon Hunter by now.
Oh, probably.
I have it as a wild main through sheer force of will. Like I played Demon Hunter through metas where Demon Hunter was not good. Right? I think I'm stuck on I might have an even 1,500 wins with Demon Hunter right now through sheer force of will. Right? Like just playing the class because I want to play the class or I want to play a stupid deck, not necessarily because it was good.
Yeah.
I don't think being busted was a problem with it. A big problem has
No,
been the balance, 100%. Like you
but
were saying, like they nerfed the hell out of it since.
well, there's that, but I think that there have been decks that are good each time, but it's like there's one deck. And I
Right.
think where they try to do differently with Death Knight was that, hey, right off the bat, you could, like you said, yeah, I can play combo Frost, I can play Control Blood, I can play aggro, um, Unholy, or I can make my own combinations, and it's cool, it's fun, it's interesting. I love that it's actually viable and wild because there's a again build of it that is viable, and I think it's brought a lot of people back. It's interesting. um
And control's fine, by the way. Like the blood version, like it's if all you're seeing is aggro, it's a fine deck.
I
Just don't queue pillager.
actually
Just
I
don't queue pillager.
Nice.
the so if you would make a wild version of it, right, you throw in armor vendors and dirty rats and maybe a Lotheb. um
Maybe on
and
pretty racks, but yeah.
I really like blood a lot. Actually, of the three, it's like I think it's my favorite because I like doing the big crazy things. I like nuking the entire board. I
I
like
love that.
playing Alexander Migraine, playing patches and all, or patchwork.
Patchwork's broken.
I love
Brand
Dude,
Patchwork
Patchwork is
too.
busted.
like
It's yeah.
I
Makes
love Blood
people
Death Knight.
concede very quickly.
The
And
first time you
so,
brand Patchwork is like, I
oh
don't know.
my.
The first time you touch the sky.
Yeah, branding Alexander Migraine is pretty gnarly as well.
Oh yeah.
And just doing 6 at the end of each turn is just crazy. So I think, like you said, the game, I'm not worried about the state of the game. It's the esports scene. Will it come back? I don't know. I'm kind of curious to see how much upheaval there will be. Sometimes what happens, right? The Hearthstone circle of life is something happens, everybody complains, and then they go back and talk about it, right?
Yeah.
But what my question is like the the decision makers and the developers are not necessarily the same group of people,
No.
and then you throw in a pending acquisition on top of it. And like, if it were me, right, purely from a business operations point of view, if I put on my operations cap for a second, what I would say is like, look, this contract ended, we're going back to Twitch, let's see how it does, and then how much we want to support it next budget year or next fiscal year, and do we want to pump money back into it or not. And then if they're getting a whole bunch of flack from everybody, what is that worth? Like, is it worth bringing it back or not? I mean, if it's purely like a money loser, then they're not going to do it. But I think that there's a lot of contributing factors, and frankly, like, they can say it or not say it, but the switch from Twitch to YouTube definitely had something to do with it. The
100%.
loss,
Mhm.
the loss of some of their major players like Frodan and Ben
Yeah.
Brode and some of the,
The
that
casters that decided to leave based on principle.
that had something to do with it. And I think that I mean, they can say it or not say it, but having like this whole loss of Hearthstone in China with NetEase, like, you can't say that it had nothing to do with it. Now I know
It's
that
a talent drain. Honestly, like if you look at it from a competition perspective, it's a talent drain. Some of your most talented, and they only let in like a trickle of players from China anyway into some of these events, rightly or wrongly, right? Like you hear about what some of the Western players had to go through through qualification.
Oh my God!
And
And
it's like,
China's
well,
always
yeah, you have to
invitational.
play like X number of rounds, whatever. You hear what some of the Chinese players have to go through to get some qualification. Like they're in a room full of like 1,000 people, and they have
Really?
to be the last one standing at the end of like an 18-hour grind. Like
Oh my
that's what some of these.
gosh. I didn't know that because what we had seen in the
Oh
past was
yeah,
like, or at least when they did the Wild Open, I remember people were upset about it because I think at least for NA and EU, it was based on like ladder finishes. In China, it was invitational, and they just didn't explain how they chose these people. Um,
well,
but
I'll give you an example for like so Wildside, and they might still hold this tournament, they might not, but they used to do like West versus East,
Yeah.
and then televise it,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
So it
yeah.
was like the best of China versus the best of what the three Western servers could cook up, and the Western servers they did based on how you finished in your standings on the Wild Ladder.
Yes,
For
correct.
Right, right.
China was so big that it was like a 64-person tournament that they turned into like 8 people.
Oh wow. Okay.
So like or like 60 like they took like several rounds of people and they narrowed it down because like NA was just like, well, we've got like such a smaller player base than you do, or like I say NA. The Western servers were like, we have EU, NA, Asia. We have a smaller player base than we do. We could probably come up with what our pool of players are going to be fairly easily. You have this big gigantic server, figure it out your own way. And this is the way that they could do it the most evenly was they basically took like the top whatever, took the percentage and turned it into a tournament.
Okay. That's really good
And
to
so
know,
like
actually.
even there in a small scale tournament, you could see how like qualification as a Chinese player was going to be more difficult. You had more competition. And it was the same thing for I think the Masters Tour, where it's just like you had more competition. Like you were playing for the spots that were allotted to China were smaller than the percentage of the player base allotted to China, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
it
like I
seems
could
like
I could definitely listen. I could be wrong, and I'm willing to be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they were given like an equal percentage to some place like EU, right? They did it regionally. So like even there, like it's a little bit. It was just it was just different.
yeah, that sounds like it was a lot more difficult to qualify. And if you're right about like this room full of people, but there's so much more people there in general. Like how many people get into Legend in China?
I have to look. Oh my god, I have to look up the unit, the my notes again. But it's something crazy. It was like something like 3,500 or something like that. It used to be on
35,000.
servers down though. Like they're it's not.
Yeah, but originally like it's we pale in comparison, right?
Oh, yeah. 100%. 100% with comparison. Appealing comparison. The other thing I wanted to bring up, where's my other point? Because like this was my greater point to respond to this was always like, okay, is the game dying?
Yeah.
And based on what I've seen, like how much does let's say does like esports really contribute to the game? As much as I'd love to see it, I'd love to see my spike friends happy. That's what I would like. I don't know how much it's contributing. Death Knight has been hugely successful. I think the Castle of Nathria, Renathal was hugely successful.
Mm-hmm.
I think Renathal continues to be hugely successful at low MMRs. Whether he's good or bad, statistically, people love adding extra cards into their deck. Like people love greed piles. And you know what? At low MMRs, a lot of people are doing that, and you have greed pile versus greed pile, and that's like a thing that people love. Like they've made a lot of smart design decisions that have made the game more fun.
Yet not everyone's trying to rank up. So when they play their greed piles versus each other, win or lose, they're like, that was fun, right?
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
to play my cards.
Hey, you know what?
So
I played some 40 card Secret Mage.
don't
It
get me started on 40 card Secret Mage. It's the only style of Secret Mage I like playing. I don't like playing 30. I don't like playing 30.
there's too many good cards. I'm telling you.
You can't fit in Khadgar and Conjurer's Calling into 30.
Anyways.
Well,
I'm making free 6/6s, and then I'm turning them into other cards. I'm dropping a free 6/6 and I'm turning it into 2/6 drops. That's busted. Or in some cases 4 if I high roll. Let's not get started on the evocation Finley, okay? That's different. But
oh my gosh. All right. We've been at it for like a long time here. So any final thoughts before we kind of wrap things up? I still like the game and I'm gonna keep playing, so whatever.
Me too.
no,
I just wish for the best. And what else can you do, right? I mean,
I wonder if scaling back, like I muse like everybody else muses, is the scaling back of esports because of the loss of the China server revenue, which is really interesting because I don't know how much Blizzard is actually losing, like by not participating in the Chinese market, because it sounds like they had kind of a crap deal, which
it sounds like the relationship is like irreparably damaged, and I don't know how good it was to begin with.
I didn't mention this, but there's a video out there of NetEase employees destroying a Blizzard statue. So like, it's like it's about as bad. Like I can't overstate this. It's about as bad as it gets from what I'm seeing from the outside looking in.
Wow.
So like, I hate like I hear nothing. I have heard nothing but good things aside from like cranky spikes, like not wanting to play around every tech card under the sun about Chinese players. But like the ones that have come over to NA, like they're like by and large, they're just like normal people. They're just like very pleasant. I've had a couple of them add me being like, I have never seen this particular combination of cards. Like, really? You've never seen Windchill and Sentimo? What rock have you been living under? But like what have you, but like I just they're here, they're staying, and I can't help but wonder if for some reason if this like scale back of esports might possibly financially because of that, or because of the acquisition by Microsoft. Like like maybe they want to like trim things up, make things look a little bit more streamlined so that Microsoft can come in and do what it wants to do.
We've had acquisitions within my company. We have investors come in and they freeze like all of the spending until there's like a new capex that's planned out for the next year, and they're like, you guys aren't like, I've got all these purchase requests that I need stuff, and they're like, nope, like we're freezing everything because we don't know what the plan for the new investment team is going to be. So sorry, like, that's not happening.
Just to clarify, that's not necessarily a negative thing. They just want to make the picture as clear and discernible as possible for people coming in to plan out what the next step is.
Yeah.
Right.
So
well, and
that can be part of it.
Here's the thing, right? Like if a company buys out another company, I mean, it depends how it's established, right? If it's publicly traded, if there's a board or whatever it is, but like more often than not, like the new company is going to come in and do whatever they want. And so it doesn't even really matter that much because Microsoft could come in and say, assuming that the buyout goes through, and they come in and say, we're going to do this, or we're not going to do it, or we're going to change this up. Like, so it's kind of the wild card that like nobody's talking about. Now, whether or not that acquisition happens is kind of remains to be seen, but like, I don't know why it wouldn't happen. And I think financially, they're doing quite well. I'm curious to know how much the loss of NetEase will hurt them, but like, I can't imagine it will be that much, especially with Diablo 4, like right down the way. I can't imagine that they're doing poorly. I've funded at least 2 people's salaries this year on signature cards alone. So they've got to be doing okay. I mean, I joke. I spent a lot of money on this game, but the financial, like the earning statements and the investor statements, are all public. So Anyways, but yeah, we've been at it a long time. We should kind of wrap things up. I wanted to briefly touch on the listener series before we end it out. Depending on the news section, I thought we talk a lot about it, talk a little bit about it. Like I'm gonna breeze through this because we've been at this for a long time. But this is like right around the corner, and so I don't want to say nothing. Um, Born to Be Wild listener series season 6. We're like right on the cusp. It's called Lords of Icecrown, themed around the Lich King. We've done a handful of changes from the last time. In fact, so what we did last time is there's instead of well, let me back up. What is Born to Be Wild listener series? It is a weekly Wild Hearthstone tournament series. It basically goes for 6 weeks, and then there's 2 weeks of like top 4 and then top 2 playoffs. Um, each week there's deck building restrictions, so it's not like you're playing ladder or like a normal tournament. There's like custom deck building restrictions each week, and what we have set it up to where one is kind of thematic based on the story or the lore, and then one is kind of like just for funsies. Now, what we've tweaked it even more in this one because there's like a scourge like or undead requirement each week that like ramps up each week, and there's some other things. So we spent kind of the earlier part of this week trying to kind of finalize what all of that looks like, and then things on my end got a little bit derailed, unfortunately, with the passing of my mother-in-law.
Life happened, right? Like you moved and Sheep had a kid, so like.
Well, that's what kind of derailed this from the beginning, but this week in particular, like we really kind of buckled down this week to try to finalize it, and we're super close. We have the lore all lined up. The challenges are like 99% done. Goliath has recorded sound bites for every lore snippet, and we're super
Love
close.
those.
And so we're just about there. Maybe we can talk about it next week. I don't have the sign up link. I'm sorry. I'll find it and I'll stick it in the show notes so we can this probably be over the next week. It'll get pushed out. But essentially it's free to sign up. It's kind of like THL where players playing against players on their own timetables. You play one match per week. There are prizes for the top 4. And just so people know, like losing a week doesn't mean that you're out of it, because it's all the win rates are all based on your overall win percentage. And so, hey, if you lost 3-2, hey, you still, those 2 points still count or whatever. It's all cumulative, and so it's not worth, like, if you lose a week, don't drop out. Like we've seen people get into the finals that have
Case in point, I made the finals last season, losing to Dr. Bomb week 1.
Yeah.
Hey.
And then I played him in the finals and lost again.
Hey, but that you just got to come back and redeem yourself.
But I got there.
It's all good.
But I got there.
Right.
Case in point as well, Sir Julian the Tall, who is a champion of the Born to Be Wild listener series. In that season, I went up against him in the very first week and beat him. And then
hey, there you go.
He went on to win the whole thing. So yeah, you lose week 1. Don't worry about it.
It doesn't necessarily mean anything. Yeah.
Right.
Anyways, that's we're very, very close to finalizing that, and I just wanted to throw out there that, like, thank you for being patient. I'm sorry it's taken so long. This has been kind of a little bit of a tumultuous time in real life, but we don't want to skip it because we've put a lot of effort and energy into it, and it's a really cool theme. And so we're super close. So those of you who have been waiting for this, your waiting is almost to an end. So ideally we can devote next week to it. The signups should be live, and hopefully I can get some of this stuff finished over the weekend, and I'm really looking forward to that. So share more news soon, but we're like almost done. Anyways, all right, that's all I got. Hooray! All right, that's everything I got. It was a really long show, but I had a good time. It was really nice hanging out with you all and talking to you.
Always fun. I've been waiting for this for 2 weeks.
Can I throw a spanner in the works ever so slightly? Can I ask for some unrelated advice?
Please do. Wait.
And now, for some unrelated advice. I cleaned my windshield in my car for the first time in forever, but like the inside
The
of
inside,
my
yeah.
car.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Okay.
You guys have any like tips or tricks for cleaning the inside of the windshield of your car?
Oh, I have one actually. So I a friend told me this back in junior high, maybe I think it was junior high. I had never heard of this before. So when you're cleaning your windows, you use the normal like glass cleaner, but instead of like a rag or a paper towel, you use newspaper to clean it, and like it cleaned them like spotless clear glass. Like I that and it was bizarre, right? And I'm sure there's a reason for it, but like
Or the fiber count?
right? Yeah. Well, what happens is when you're done with it, right? Your hands are all stained from the ink on the newspaper, but it worked like none other. I think that would be like just try it and see. And if it doesn't work, then sorry. But yeah.
Newspaper.
Yep. I mean, you
Okay,
still gotta spray it with like the cleaner, but like you use that instead of a
Oh,
instead
not
of a
just
rag
balls
or
of
a-
newspaper.
Oh, just use dry newspaper. And while you're at it, just tape it up there, and then you don't have to wash it at all.
Well, I've got a what not to do. Because
Okay.
so we live up here in Canada, and it gets cold. So we're in Jasper, and we're on a snowboard trip, and one of my good friends and roommates at the time decided to leave a can of Sprite in his cup holder unopened before we go snowboarding. And
How long did it remain unopened is the question.
we don't know, but by the time we got back to the car at the end of the day, it had exploded straight up all over the inside of the windshield and then froze on it.
Unlucky.
And so what he decides to do is try to break the ice. So he's
no.
hitting it with his palm, right? Like giving her one of these. And he cracked his own windshield from the inside. It's like not just a small crack, like big spider crack. So now there's frozen Sprite all over it. His hand and wrist hurt, and his windshield is now busted, and we have to drive 3.5 hours home like that.
Oh, that's
Skill issue.
yes. Order lol. Oh gosh, that's great. Well, there you heard it. Wiser words have never been spoken, and you heard that on
Born to be wild.
Wiser words never spoken, and you heard that on Bore to be wild.
John. Okay, fair enough.
Bum 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 bum.